What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy hump day. It is Wednesday. 2 hours of nonstop. MLB DFS conversation starts right now, taking all the way up the first pitch for the main slate, DraftKings and FanDuel. You got myself, Dean Shamelson. I never say my last name. That's weird. I don't really know where that came from, but there you go. Give it a Google. And this is Kyle. It's Kyle Murray. We're here for the next hour and 15 till we yield to crunch time. Crunch time coming in. It's TJ Zwarych. You guys know TJ, right? One of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. You got TastefulTides, Tim Buell as well. Additionally, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. No issues as far as weather. There's an issue for me right outside my house. It's storming, although it's simmered down. So my apologies if you guys are hearing it again. Seriously, it's 5 o'clock. The show's starting. Here comes the rain right on cue. We got to start raining on Dean's house, but I think we're slowing down. Knock on. So, yeah, you got us for the next hour and 15 on a Wednesday. It's a 10-gamer. Kyle, how are things? Everything good in your world?
Yeah, things are good. Getting ready for football season. Got some MLB slates this week, so it should be a pretty good week. This is definitely the biggest slate that we've had on a Wednesday in a while. 10 games is a change of pace, because normally it's like 6 or 7. We usually have some weather issues, so it's going to be interesting to talk about the 10-gamer, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, getaway day, typically. There was only 3 early games, and I didn't play the early slate, but I presume you needed to stack either the Yankees or the Braves or both, because just looking at the scores, I saw the Yankees put up double digits as well as Atlanta putting a hurting on the Fish. Just a couple games, going on. I guess there's one right now, San Diego, Seattle, and you got Boston and Baltimore before the slate. Otherwise, the 10 games on layaway, we were talking about it before the show. Some of the pitchers got swapped out. We now have Andy Ashby. The combination of Ashby and Eric Fetty is now pitching for the Brewers. Cousin Priester is not playing baseball for the Brewers, and a couple other guys. This was last night, but I thought Zebby was pitching for Minnesota. Now it's going to be Simeon Woods Richardson. He's coming back from the IL. I don't know if you saw, but he had a parasite in his digestive tract. You think he feels like pitching tonight after that? I don't know how long ago that was, but I don't want to. I've never had that. I assume that's miserable. You want to throw baseballs after that? Probably not. But he's going to give it a go tonight. What? Not to get into too much specifics, but parasite. That feels like a polite way of saying something pretty gross, right? Is that a polite way of saying?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that guy's been shit. That's for sure.
Well, there you go. It's a tapeworm. Is that what that is? Is that what it is? I guess that's the. That's what we're hearing here in the chat, according to producer Steve. Okay, yeah. So he's going to be back tonight for Minnesota. Tough matchup there against Toronto. It's funny. I was tilting yesterday, all day yesterday. I saw Varsho was out, and I was happy to see Dave Potts, who never seems to get angry about anything. He was tilting in his article today about Toronto sitting Varsho. Varsho, the best hitter in all of baseball versus right-handed pitchers, and for some reason, let's just sit him. And that changed my lineup entirely yesterday. Although I did see. Somebody in chat did ask, oh, man, what's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications so we go live. Appreciate all that. Richie asked if I won the Millie last night. I did not. However, Kyle, we min cashed. We got there. I was in the 3,300 and a ticket to it. So we will take I was kind of sort of on the bubble. I needed Detroit and the Athletics to be quiet, which was a rough start for me. But it simmered down, and we min cashed, and we'll take it. We'll take the 5K.
Take that all day.
Yeah, no complaints about that. But hey, that was yesterday. This is today. They were also speculating it was minus 125 according to J3 that you'd have an Arctic Vibe Celsius, not any Celsius. He's doing the exact box Celsius Arctic Vibe. I guess what does Arctic Vibe taste like? Out of curiosity, what flavor is Arctic Vibe?
That one's like blue raspberry, I think. But the one I've been having on the shows actually is it's a blue raz lemonade, so it's actually not Arctic Vibe. So minus 125 is not a sharp line, but I understand why he went with that. I do like Arctic Vibe, but it's like a new blue raz lemonade one. That's been my my go-to as of late. But no Celsius, just water today, so I'll probably be a little bit less energetic, maybe. But nonetheless, we're here. I had one earlier, so I'm sure it's still in my system somehow.
Blue raz lemonade. That's a lot going on. Blue raz and lemonade concoction. But I thought it's got the bubbles, right? I don't like the bubbles. It's got bubbles.
I don't. It's not too
Carbonated?
bad.
Is it carbonated? Celsius?
I think maybe a little, but I don't think it's nothing where I'm like, oh, there's too much carbonation going on here.
Isn't carbonation like pregnant? You either are or you aren't. I don't know. Either it's carbonated or it's not,
Well,
right?
it's not like it's a soda.
It's less carbonation. There's different degrees of carbonation. I don't know.
I would assume so.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I just don't notice it. But like, I feel like if you like shook up a Celsius, I don't know if it would like explode like a soda would.
Producer Steve is saying, J3 can DoorDash you some Celsius. I don't know. Did you trust J3 getting your address? I don't know how that would work, but it is it's amazing. But we're so spoiled. I like 4 a.m. the other night I had to get something, and like 20 minutes later, DoorDash is showing up at my house. But it's just sort of wild. This is the things and somebody out there willing to do it, and shout out to them. And make sure you tip your drivers. There you go. That's a little, if you're gonna DoorDash, tip the people. They're taking care of you. You got to take care of them as well. I don't know why I'm getting on my soapbox about tipping, but there you go.
And tip us by pressing that thumbs up button.
Yes, yeah. Just like I know Beer says the tip jar is the like button, and I know TJ is going to be on later. I presume. I don't know. I don't want to speak for TJ. He's an adult. He can speak for himself. But I imagine that Spidey is lurking, and Spidey only gives Spidey bombs with he's incentivized. He's like Scooby with the Scooby snacks. Shout out to yesterday. But he's incentivized. The more likes, the more Spidey bombs. If you don't hit the like button, you don't get any Spidey bombs. So I imagine that will be your encouragement to hit the like button today. All right, we have a 10-gamer. Once again, we have a pretty good game as far as the environment in Detroit. No, it's Detroit in Sacramento. I don't know if you're watching that game, but the walk-off walk, the very, very exciting walk-off walk, which I was thrilled about because, again, I was in the bubble with no live players with Detroit and the Athletics. I'm like, can we not go to another inning because that will kill me? That will probably break me. Your Detroit Tigers blew it with the walk-off walk there. Good environment tonight. We're running back there. Both teams, the team total about 5. Dodgers facing a lefty, so pretty good lefty. So they're not looking as appealing. They're not going to be owned. Texas with a 5 total against Kohanowitz. The Astros have a 5 total against Dollander. Framber on the other side, the biggest favorite on the board against the Rockies. Framber and Sonny Gray are against the 1 and 1A when it comes to pitching tonight. Somebody's got to be number 1, number 2. I know Framber has not been in good form of late, but the antidote is the Colorado Rockies on the road. We'll have that conversation as well. And there's a lot of darts. You're always good for throwing some random pitching darts. You might like some of this nonsense. There's a couple guys I'm thinking about, just kind of make stuff work. And I'm curious to hear your take because you usually find somebody for us that's kind of scraping the barrel. I don't know if Eric Lauer is scraping the barrel, but I kind of sort of somewhat like Eric Lauer. We'll have this conversation. But your overview before we dive in, how are you seeing tonight's 10-gamer?
Yeah, pitching's a little bit better than we're typically accustomed to on these Wednesday night slates. I mean, you do have a couple of, at least aces for their teams or at least up there amongst their ace in their rotation with Valdez and Sonny Gray. Obviously, you got Hunter Brown there for the Astros, but good pitcher nonetheless and a great matchup. Sonny Gray, same thing. We've had the Ohtani discussion. I think this is 4th straight Wednesday that he's pitched on now. We've had, or at least 3rd, that we have the pleasure of talking about Ohtani pitching on a Wednesday slate. Eric Lauer in the mix. I think those are probably the 4 top guys in terms of projection and chalkiness throughout the slate. But yeah, there's definitely gonna be some names that I at least have some slight interest in down the board a little bit. So I do think it sort of feels like you're either taking those top 2 guys, Valdez and Sonny Gray, and looking to save some salary. And then I think a lot of the public's either going to take both of those guys or one of those 2, and then probably look for a little bit of a slight pay, pay down with Lauer and Shohei Ohtani in the equation there for some of these more chalky lineups. And then after that, I think you're pretty much looking at anybody else that you're targeting in that range as guys who are going to be fairly unowned. We do have some ownership on guys like Bergert and a little bit on Colin Ray, but after that, nobody else in double digits. So if you're not playing, 2 of those 4 guys, you pretty much don't have to worry about ownership at the pitcher position. But I do think those are probably the 4 safest options. Those guys make a lot of sense from a cash game perspective as well. So I do sort of agree that those are the four, most popular options, and rightfully so. And after that, like I mentioned, it's more so, getting contrarian and looking in the tournament direction for these guys.
All right. So on FanDuel, Valdez and Gray, you only roster one pitcher over there, are taking up more than half the ownership. 30% for Valdez, give or take. Gray at 26. And then if you want to throw in Lauer as well, which is not a meaningful step down from Gray, $7K difference. 8-7 on FanDuel, 9-4 for Gray, 10-4 for Valdez. He's getting about 10%. So it's essentially those three. If you want to just say those two, Valdez and Gray, about 55-60% the entire pool there for tournaments. If you're playing cash games, you're picking one of Valdez or Gray. Almost definitely you should be. My advice, at least. On DK, like you're talking about, you got a roster two. The two most popular in town, it is Framber, it is Sonny Gray. I mean, it's as simple as they have the two best matchups. They're two of the better pitchers as well. The strikeouts are not great for Valdez this year. He's not in the best form as well of late, but maybe this is a bounce back spot here versus Colorado. And I know Pittsburgh did pretty good last night versus Hunter Brown. Got a bunch of unearned runs, if nothing else. No, that was against St. Louis. Hunter Brown was against Colorado. Get my games confused. Pittsburgh put up an 8 spot pretty early against St. Louis. Still don't really trust that offense. It's still not very good. And then Lauer's getting 26%. We've got Ohtani at 17. Basically, the ceiling is 5 innings. He didn't get the 5 innings last time. I don't know if he's got the 5 innings yet, but they have said that he's got a chance, assuming all things go well. Last time was in core, so you can kind of sort of somewhat forgive him for that. He also got hit and came out of the game. A comebacker hit him on the thigh or the leg area, something like that, and that was essentially his exit from the game. But yeah, beyond that, like you said, you threw out Lauer against Minnesota. Minnesota much easier to pick on, I think, in my estimation, with a lefty as opposed to righty. They have some pretty strong power against righties. We've seen it the past couple of days. Even though they're not letting up the scoreboard, they can hit the ball out of the ballpark. With lefties, it's essentially, if you can lock down Buxton, you feel pretty good. And Lauer's got a long leash these days as well. But are you prioritizing those guys? Is this what we're doing? Are we playing Valdez? Are we playing Gray? Are we playing both? Because there are a pretty good amount of offenses. I think there's an opportunity cost offense tonight. And, you can still find some cheap bats. There's always cheap bats this time of year. But the good bats are really expensive. That's just how that works. How are you handling it? Are you making sure at least one of Valdez or Gray? Is it 1 and 1A? Do you have a clear, obvious amongst the two? Whichever one fits. What's the strategy here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Valdez, I certainly prefer over Gray. I think, for the $800 increase, I would much rather target him in that matchup against Colorado. Obviously, Colorado outside of Coors Field takes a pretty steep drop off, but you also, outside of the 3 or 4 hitters that you're afraid of in this Rockies lineup, you don't really have a ton of guys to be that much afraid of. And then outside of the the lower strikeout guys like Freeman, you get some strikeout bats in this lineup as well. So I do prefer Valdez over Gray. I think from a lineup construction perspective, I'm certainly going to have at least one of those two guys in the majority of lineups. Like I mentioned, prefer Valdez. You definitely can play both of them. It just comes down to salary constraints. So for that $1,500 discount, Eric Lauer is probably my third favorite pitcher on the slate. I will say the combination of one of Valdez and Gray and then Lauer is probably going to be more common for me than doubling up on Valdez and Gray. But nonetheless, I think you can certainly make all of it work. There is plenty of salary options amongst hitters and stacks and whatnot. So a lot of flexibility on this slate. But for me personally, one of those guys, Valdez and Gray, I do prefer Valdez slightly. And then pairing it with Lauer is probably going to be the most common combination for me.
You said there's 3 or 4 Rocky bats you're afraid of. There are 3 or 4 Rocky bats that have power. You're not like afraid of them, but like Doyle. Yeah. I'm looking at the plate IQ. I assume you're talking about Goodman, Beck, and Doyle as far as the power guys. Yeah. But plate IQ cleaned up. I don't know if you've seen the new plate IQ. They've kind of given it a makeover. It took me a second to kind of run that down, but it does look nicer once I kind of adjust to it. It's like, okay, now I kind of realize where everything is. It's not the best strikeout matchup for Valdez in the season. 23.5%. It's not amazing when it comes to strikeouts either. Collectively, this Colorado lineup. Now, there is kind of some wonkiness with some small samples, like Karros is a 0% K percent, in just 12 at-bats. That's going to change. I promise you he's going to strike out at some point versus a lefty. Feel pretty confident in that. But just 20.6% collectively is not the greatest number. But Tovar strikes out a lot. Beck and Goodman, a couple of the power guys, also can swing and miss.
Yeah, Arcia also has a pretty small sample. He struck out like 24% of the time against lefties last year. So he's also, you got 4 guys who are 24% strikeout rate or higher, and then a couple guys with really small samples. So I don't think it's as bad of a strikeout matchup as it appears. Still is a 6.5K prop. So I don't think it's as bad as it might look on the surface when you're looking at this year's stats.
I'm looking at Burnables, the one that's interesting. 22 at bats, 9.1% Ks. So I was curious to see what he was projected for, and he's actually a big contact guy. He's projected, according to the bat, to strike out at 15.6% in the majors and 16.8% according to Zips. So not not necessarily ideal, right? But and he's got some power as well. Hasn't exactly shown it, but I think he comes with some promise of some power. But we're not afraid of him. Good name though, Warming Burnable. Did you give the speech on Lauer? Why we like Lauer? Did you just I know you mentioned him, and you think he's 2 of those 3 is kind of the option, and it sounded like you like Lauer, and then one of Gray or Valdez. Why do we like Lauer tonight versus Minnesota?
So the main, I guess, synopsis for him, I mean, he's going against a team with one of the lower implied team totals on the board. I think they're bottom 5 today for the Twins on this slate. So that's good for the price. And then for me, that you look at the matchup for Eric Lauer, really good against righties so far this season. 27% strikeout rate, 158 ISO allowed, 284 WOBA. He's worse against lefties. The reverse splits left-handed pitcher, strikes out only 19% of lefties. Gives a little bit more power as well, more hard contact. Although his CSW is actually higher against lefties, so I'm probably expecting some positive regression there on that number. But you're looking at the lineup, 6 righties in the lineup here for the Twins. You do have some power bats, Buxton, Matt Wallner is a good power guy, and then you have a couple of guys who've shown some pop at times throughout the rest of the lineup. But overall, I just think it's a lineup to be able to kind of work through. I'm not expecting a ton of strikeout upside for him here. We do have him projected pretty significantly higher than his strikeout prop, 4.5K prop. We have him at 5.5 in our RotoGrinders projection. So, potentially an overbet. I mean, if I had to decide for, bet 4.5 over under, I'm certainly leaning the over. I think it is -140. So he's probably right around that 5 implied strikeout projection, looking at Vegas props. So for that being the case, the safety combined with some strikeout upside. Again, not expecting him to go out there and strike out 7, 8, 9 hitters like some of these guys could potentially do tonight, but also not expecting too much trouble for him. I do think the Twins lose, so I think that Lauer's going to benefit from getting a win there in the column as well. So I think he's just a safe pitcher. Maybe you can find some higher upside guys in this range, like you have Ohtani for 500 more, who's probably going to strike out more hitters. But you also need a lot of efficiency out of Ohtani. Like we've seen the up and down. I think last start we sort of all expected him to go out there and throw more pitches. That wasn't really the case. So I think that's still going to be something that's difficult to rely on, even though they've talked about wanting Ohtani to consistently work deeper into games. But 66 pitches last start against Colorado. I know he did get roughed up a little bit, so that probably did not help with the going deeper into the game. But only 66 pitches is not ideal. I think there's still going to be some volatility there with the pitch count for Ohtani, but more upside from a strikeout perspective. So that's kind of the pitch there for Lauer in comparison to some other guys in that range. You could also make the argument, if you don't want to play Lauer, he's going to have some ownership, and you can make the case that there's 4, 5, 6 pitchers below him that have more strikeout upside just based on our strikeout projections and then their Vegas props as well. So there's certainly pivots for Lauer, especially considering the ownership, but I do think he's a pretty safe option tonight.
I do want to hear those pivots. Do want to also mention, I see TJ in chat, Spidey Bomb number 1. It should be scrolling at the bottom of the screen. It is Rowdy Tellez. You got him at 5-1, taking on Kohanowitz. I was curious about Texas. I'm sure we'll talk about them at some point. They look like one of the more interesting teams on the slate to me. Kohanowitz really vulnerable to lefty power. He is buried in that 7-hole. And, I'm always a little bit concerned about pinch hit stuff when it comes to guys like Jock Peterson and Rowdy Tellez. I think the Angels have 3 lefties in that bullpen. And he's buried enough in the 7-hole where pretty good chance he only faces Kohanowitz twice. It seems like right around the time Kohanowitz gets the hook is probably Peterson's third at bat, in my head. That's kind of like when he comes out. So not necessarily an automatic when it comes to they're bringing in a lefty. But just a little bit of caution in my head, like maybe they bring a lefty, and it would make sense. If you're trying to win the game, if it's a close game, you bring in a lefty to take on Peterson and Tellez, and you just kind of put Texas to the, put a little pressure. They don't have to pinch it, but sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. A lot of it's situational dependent. Just the thoughts. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but they're also really cheap. That's the other thing. They're also super cheap when it comes to Peterson and Tellez. It feels like that's been like that for like a month. But if you ever want to save some salary and the Texas is facing a righty, you can always just pair up Peterson with Tellez, and almost always you're going to throw in Seager in there as well, and you get yourself a mini stack because Seager smashes. Well, he smashes everybody, but he really smashes righties. He's not going to get the hook. Okay, other pitchers that we can consider if we're scraping that barrel. What else is there? Stop me when you sound. Bubba Chandler, where he's expected to come in at some point for Pittsburgh. Now, he was pretty good. Obviously one of the bigger pitching prospects in baseball. He hasn't pitched like that in the minors. Has not been spectacular. He's been kind of up and down in the minors. He only threw 40 pitches. He was super efficient in his 4 innings. If that's all they're going to allow him, like 40, 45, 50, we're giving him 70. To me, that feels ambitious. I would take the under on 70. And you're on the projection team. It sounds like you would agree. You take the under on 70, not starting the game. But he's cheap, and what does he really need to get you? Ohtani, you mentioned, you're basically begging for 5, and he can get 5 in theory. But amongst the nonsense that's remaining, does anything look appealing to you? Nelson, Mize, tough ballpark for Mize. You saw he had an awesome game a couple games ago. It was the last time out where he actually got his face punched in, or at least did not rack up any strikeouts. Colin Ray is just never going to win a slate for you. Like, that's just never going to happen, right? His 18% K rate. Walker, you're not going to play. Morales, tough ballpark. Like, what is left? This is why we're playing. We're leaning in on Framber. We're leaning in on Sonny Gray. We're leaning in on Eric Lauer. What about McLean? McLean has looked awesome. Now, the price is spiked up really quickly. The Ks have been good. He's the biggest K guy in the slate. This is all small sample stuff, but 32.6% Ks. That's excellent. And ground balls have been absurd. Now, I can't imagine that ground ball rate's going to continue, but just a pile of ground balls and subsequently very few fly balls. But he's pricey. I guess he's an interesting tournament pivot. But I don't really like much else. I said a bunch of names. Do you like any of the nonsense that's remaining here?
McLean sticks out with a strikeout upside, 32% strikeout rate in his limited sample so far in the majors. That number's probably going to come down. I mean, he was a 27, 28% guy in the minors, so it's probably unlikely that he's going to step into the majors and see a 3, 4, 5% increase there in the strikeout rate. The one thing I will say is the Vegas number is very low on the implied team total here for the Phillies, which bodes well. Looks like he's getting a lot of respect from the books. But the thing that I do like about him is 2 starts, 90 plus pitches, 91 plus pitches in both. Obviously, he also had 7 strikeouts in both. So both of those look great. I think the one thing that is a potential issue is the hard contact. He hasn't given up a lot of contact because he's been getting a lot of strikeouts, obviously. So if you were looking to poke a hole in the resume there, it is the hard contact. But again, that's a very small sample because you think about he's seen 45 plate appearances. Obviously, he has 15 strikeouts. So the hard contact number being high is probably not as much of an issue as the numbers might look. So I think McLean is probably amongst the leaders in terms of guys who I'm interested in this price range. I also have some interest in Ryan Bergert here for the Royals. Matchup against the White Sox is not a good one from a strikeout perspective. I mean, you mentioned, I forget the name that you threw out there, but or I think it was Colin Ray, where he's not going to win you a slate. I kind of feel like that about a lot of these guys here. I mean, I think McLean could potentially win you a slate with his strikeout upside, but he is 9K, so you still, I mean, you need a good performance from him still. I don't think he's likely to outscore Sonny Gray. I mean, I think he has the upside to do so, but he's probably going to need some strikeout help, and he's probably going to need maybe Sonny Gray to falter a little bit. I just think at that price in that matchup, Sonny Gray is a bit safer. So for the $500 discount, I'm not sure how sold I am on that being worth it. But when you talk about dipping your toes into 7,500 and cheaper, that's sort of when the lack of upside can be made up for by the price being so cheap, right? So 7,200 here for Berger, I think, is somewhat of an appealing price tag for him. Again, not expecting him to go out there and strike out 7 or 8 guys, but I do think that the matchup is one that he should be able to pitch through pretty easily and work fairly deep into the game. We have him projected for 93 pitches. I think, I think he has upside for even more than that. It sounds like you were getting absolutely hailed on right now. That's that Florida weather right there. But so Berger is probably my favorite in the 7-2 range. I know we kind of poked fun at Colin Ray's upside, but if you're looking sub 7K, he's certainly a guy that is at least in contention for just a pure salary relief standpoint. After that, it does get pretty thin. I do have some interest in Casey Mize strikeout prop at 4.5, but I don't know if I love it from a DFS perspective because I think there is a pretty good chance he gives it some power. And then the last name I'll throw out there that I think is extremely off the wall and probably too dangerous to actually seriously consider, but Nick Lodolo is someone I have at least mild interest in against the Dodgers. I know that's obviously a brutal matchup. He faced this team just a month ago and struck out 11 Dodgers. I know he's been out for a while, so there is some risk there. But this is a Dodgers team that if they aren't producing power, they do have some strikeouts in this lineup. They have a lineup of 5 guys who are striking out at least 23% of the time or more against lefties so far this season. And when you date back to last year, that number gets even better. So I'll say, I'll say Lodolo is extremely risky tournament play that I have some interest in. I mean, he'll be sub 2%. Nobody is going to be using Nick Lodolo. So he's someone that I at least have on my radar for a guy who I think is going to be extremely contrarian and a pivot off of a guy like Lauer, who should be popular.
Do we think there's any issues with Lodolo as far as the blister? He has not pitched in over 3 weeks. I don't think there was a rehab there. I think he was waiting for the blister to go away. You're right, by the way. Cats and dogs, man. It won't stop. Like, here is part 2. I'm turning my mic off, turning it off, and I'm trying to make it so you don't hear it. But it's ramping up once again with the rain. Good thing they got the dome down here in Miami. But yeah, I think Lodolo is interesting as well because he's a guy that could theoretically strike out 8 or 9. Just kind of thinking about maybe if his pitch count, maybe it's like that 1 inning thing. If he's kind of teetering, he's at like 86, and then there's no reason to throw him back out there, that kind of thing.
I mean the main thing about a blister is like it's not, as long as it's gone, like it's not gonna all of a sudden like randomly pop back up in the middle of the start. Like it's more concerning for me if it's a guy dealing with like an elbow strain or something in the shoulder or something like that. That's more of an issue. But the main interest behind Lodolo is before he went out, he was in the best form he's been in all year from a strikeout perspective. I mean, his CSW in the 5 or 6 starts prior to him getting pulled, 31%, 37% against the 31% against the Dodgers, then 37, 32, 25, 31, 30. So, I mean, he was just in great form end of June through July. And obviously it was a bummer that he, left his first August start early due to that blister. But I mean, this is a guy who was in peak form. So if he can just step right back into that and that blister's gone, he's fully healed there. I'm assuming that he's going to be at least in good contention to be right back out there from a normal pitch count perspective.
I think we touched on everybody that is of some relevance. By the way, set the line, get your bets in as far as mute count. I've already called it. I have inside information. Despite the rain, I'm going to go under on a half a mute. Under on a half a mute. What would the line be, Kyle? If you would have set the line, you want to be the book. What's a sharp line for the over/under is a half a mute? What's the book's line?
So how many times do you accidentally talk on mute?
Yeah. So how many times would I think that I'm actually talking to you and I'm just
I mean, I would say just considering the value, but I feel like you, even when the rain isn't there, you still tend to mute fairly often. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. So I'll say half, if you want to be like a prize picks line and just do it on the round number, maybe 1, to get a push for all the suckers out there. But yeah.
If I was Luis Ortiz, what I would do is I would ladder it up and I would intentionally mute, man. All my friends, I'd call them all up. I'd smash the book, ladder that mute up to 5.5. I'm just going to somehow, whoops, I did it again. my bad.
It's the rain. Yeah, blame it on the rain. And you probably have a better excuse than Ortiz and Manuel Clase. So, yeah.
It just slipped right out of my hand. What do you want from me? First pitch, you would never guess. The first pitch that, the amount of money you wagered on it 100 times what it normally is. What are the odds? All right. Anything else you want to talk about as far as pitching, or shall we scoot along and talk about some sticks, some bats, some stacks?
No, I think I mentioned all the dumpster names that I wanted to talk about. So
probably a couple you didn't want to talk about too. To be fair, I'm not to speak for you, but you put some lipstick on the pig of some of these these options.
Yeah, that's my deal. I had to do with Nick Martinez last week, and it worked out pretty well. So trying to keep it going.
If you can survive a Nick Martinez call, you can you all of a sudden you are feeling spectacular. It's not just my end. Producer Steve saying his internet's kind of funky as well. So he's based there in Nashville. Hopefully we're going to be able to power through and there's no issues. But let us know if there's any hiccups. But as of right now, we should be good to go. Do you want to give me the summary? And some people, I don't know why, they don't watch the entire show. They jump on right now. Like somebody just logged on right now, like, who are my favorite pitchers tonight? They missed all in the first half hour of the show, all the goods. They missed the first Spidey Bomb there scrolling. Well, it's scrolling. She didn't necessarily miss it. Rowdy tell us, get to 100 likes, another Spidey Bomb's coming. Every 50 likes, you're getting Spidey Bombs. Just give me the summary as far as how we're attacking pitching tonight.
Yeah, so top two guys, Valdez and Sonny Gray, both can be popular, both pretty safe options and good matchups. So I think several people are going to stack both of those guys up because they're it's not a ton of sexy options after that. So those are the two guys I think are going to be popular. We'll see at least one of those guys in the majority of lineups, and then I do think a lot of people will double down there. After that, I think the next tier of mid-range guys, Ohtani and Lauer, are going to be the two popular options. Tournament guys or cheap guys that I have interest in are Nolan McLean, Nick Lodolo, Ryan Bergert. Those are pretty much the cheaper guys that I have some interest in. Colin Ray is a guy you can throw out there and just kind of punt the position sub 7K and in a good ballpark. So, but probably not a super appealing option from an upside perspective. So I think if you wanted to cut it off with those, first five guys, that's probably a good player pool for pitchers.
Okay. Scooting along with today's tiers category. This was your idea. We kind of we're talking about the college football season. I was going to say right around the corner, but I guess officially it's already started. It started over there, week 0, the game in Ireland. There's a couple other games as well that went down. But, obviously it gets loose fully this weekend. But we were talking about rivalries, and naturally, I suppose, on your brain, Michigan is known for one of the bigger rivalries in all of college football. But then we kind of took a little bit further. We talked about actual, the names of the rivalry games, right? So it didn't make the board, but the Red River Shootout. So we power ranked the names of college football rivalry games. So let us know your favorites amongst those, some of your favorite choices. We left some off the board. There's obviously a lot to choose from, but the battle for the bell, the battle for the bones. Do you know? This isn't a gotcha. Do you know what the battle for the bones is? I don't know what I'm just looking at Wikipedia. What do you think the battle for the bones? The battle for the bones, of course, is Memphis and UAB.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be? And the other thing that's weird, there's 3 different battle for the bells. There's the battle for the bell for Marshall and Ohio, for Southern Miss and Tulane, and South Alabama and Troy. They all want to. Oh no, that's the battle for the belt. Battle for the belt. So battle for the bell. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Battle for the Valley. That's, of course, San Jose State and Fresno State. I've heard of the Backyard Brawl. That's a good one. Didn't make the board, but Pittsburgh and West Virginia, that's a pretty solid one. But
that's one of the more underrated rivalries, not necessarily name-wise, but just actual environment-wise. That's a good one. We're going to have some unhappy people. Anybody who might be a fan of a certain team, college fanatics, they get rambunctious. So hopefully there's no Auburn fans in here or anything. That's a pretty overrated rivalry in my opinion, the Iron Bowl. I know we've had two insane games, 2 insane finishes in that game. But other than that, it's pretty much just been Auburn getting whooped around for 20 years. So yeah.
One of the greatest finishes of all time, right? The kick for was a field goal winner for Alabama, trying a 55-yarder or something like that, and they ran it back 103 or 109. 109. My apologies.
That is one of the craziest plays in college football history, but that game up until that point was a snooze fest. One of the worst games ever.
Really?
So boring. Nothing exciting happened. And then obviously the 109-yard kickoff return. And there was another Auburn-Alabama game where it was I don't know how much time was up. It had to have been like less than a minute or two, and it was deep ball thrown, safety in the corner kind of collided and just popped up into the Auburn receiver's hands, waltzed in for a touchdown. So two crazy finishes in that rivalry, but still an overrated rivalry in my opinion.
It's funny. I don't remember that game. I remember watching that game, the one with the kick return for 109 yards. I don't remember being boring after that moment. But I think there was a big review, if I remember correctly. It was like a big review before that kick. I don't remember which way it went, but that sort of decided it kind of led to the kick. And the Holy War being mentioned here in chat, BYU and Utah. The battle for Paul Bunyan's axe. That's Minnesota, I believe, in somebody. Who wants Paul Bunyan's? It's got to be Minnesota, right? Minnesota.
I think Paul Bunyan is Michigan and Michigan State, but I don't know if there's a more specific one that's Paul Bunyan's axe. But I don't know. The only reason why I might not know that is because I don't see it as the Paul Bunyan trophy in the Michigan and Michigan State game. I see it as the little brother bowl because Michigan State's just Michigan's little brother. But I did just Google it. Paul Bunyan's axe is Minnesota, Wisconsin. So there's two different Minnesota there's two different Paul Bunyan related trophies in the Big Ten. Who would have thought?
Do you have any memories? You ever go to the Big House? Any Big House memories? Michigan?
Yeah, I went to a game last year. I went to a game a few years ago, and then my first game ever was a Michigan-Wisconsin game. I must have been like, I don't know, 7 or 8. So yeah, I've been there a handful of times. One game I got absolutely poured on. It was on my birthday, and I got absolutely drenched. That was a fun time because it was just like once you get past the initial being rained on, and then it kind of sucks.
You just accept it.
Yeah, after that, it's like fun. You're like kind of everyone's just kind of going through it and being miserable in the rain, but then it just gets fun because you're like, oh, screw it. So that was a fun time.
You ever have a snow game? I've never been like in a game where it snows absurdly. You ever try that?
Being at one, no, I would never attend it. That sounds like the most miserable thing ever.
It looks miserable, but like it's communal, like you said. The people are there, just embrace it, and they seem to have a good time.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and show our board. There was a lot of options thrown out there in chat as well. Some good references. Okay, so today's board is going to be revealed momentarily. Producer Steve's going to throw it up here on the screen. What do you got?
We did lose our producer, so there is a chance that we don't have the board live.
That is what I'm queuing up Steve, and I'm like, I guess we're still live. Is it possible? Can we ask TJ to jump on? Is that asking too much from TJ? I know he's dealing with Spidey bumps. TJ is kind of our producer on layaway. I don't know, but what do you got?
Do you have a tier? Is there like a tier site?
There's just like you just type in tiers or something like that, and it came up. I don't remember the exact site is, but if nothing else, we have the names. I have the names at least, and we'll do our best to. I'm getting the message now. Steve officially he's lost internet, and maybe he's going to come on or try his best. Are we still on the air? Let us know we're still on. In chat, let us know. Can the people still hear us? I think they can. I'm pretty sure they still can. Because I see chat is still moving as if we're having the conversation there, saying relevant things. But our board, so you can't see it. Maybe we'll be able to bring it up here momentarily. Steve, of course, is going to do his best to jump back on here. But we had the game. The game is in tier number 1. Shout out to Michigan, Ohio State. That is, the game. Because people know. Like, you just know what it is. Because that's how good the game is. That's how good the rivalry is. You got Michigan and Ohio State. We weren't aware of this one, Kyle. At least I wasn't. But 100 Miles of Hate is just an amazing name for a rivalry. Yeah. That is Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky. Those teams do not hate each other. No, they don't like each other. I guess they do hate each other. I did want to get my my UCF representation in here. So the war on I-4. I-4 is the road you take to go from Tampa to Orlando. That is tier 3. Tier 4, sticking with Florida, it's the Sunshine Showdown, which is not spectacular, but that is what it is. So tier 4 is the Sunshine Showdown. And tier 5, somebody did mention this in chat, it's just not, it doesn't seem like it's worth playing for necessarily. The Egg Bowl, I know it's a big deal with Mississippi State and Ole Miss, but we're playing for an egg. That's what we're doing. Egg
would be, to be fair, it is the golden egg.
Oh.
But... it would be bigger if Mississippi State didn't suck.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Is Mississippi State? That's a Dak. Is that where Dak went? I think
it is. Yeah. Yep.
Have they not been good since he was there?
I don't even think they're that good. Yeah, there actually is a good trivia question. The first ever #1 seed in the college football playoff was Mississippi State. That was like week 4 or whenever they do the first ranking.
Really?
The year Dak was there, but then they quickly fell out of it. So they have not been. That was definitely the last time they were good.
I think we have producer Steve is back. The board just popped up unless TJ came in by some miracle, but
Steve's back. Yeah,
I think we got Steve back. Awesome. Thank you for jumping back in, Steve. Hopefully we're gonna be good the rest of the way. Crunch time only coming in a half hour or so. You got TJ Zwarych, you have TastefulTides, Tim Buell, Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. And by the way, it looks like my rain has simmered down. Hopefully you can't hear anything else because I think I can't hear anything. So I think we are good rain-wise on my side as well. So the under is looking pretty good as far as buttes. If you got in on the under when the getting was good, the line has probably moved since the rain has simmered down. Okay, let's throw some teams in some tiers. The very first team we're talking about, it is TJ's Blue Jays. Eric Lauer on the bump against Simeon Woods Richardson. Again, he's just coming back from his parasite that was in his digestive tract. Now he's throwing baseballs tonight versus Toronto. Toronto's a team total above 5. Thankfully, Toronto put Dalton Varsho in the lineup tonight. That's good to see. Minnesota, I don't think there was intimidating there versus lefties, so I don't like them as much. And we talk about Lauer. I know Lauer's been reverse splitsy, but I still don't love this Minnesota team tonight. But you tell me, this is your board. Where do you want to put the Twins and the Blue Jays?
Yeah, the Blue Jays are going to be in the top tier in the game. Like the spot for them. I mean, when you look at the lineup they're rolling out, they've actually been getting a little bit healthier. I know Varsho's been back for a little while now, but the fact that they are rolling out a handful of lefties and a few of them have pretty solid power. I mean, you have Varsho and Barger who obviously have great power, and then you have even Lukes or Lucas. Is he Lucas? But he spelled Lukes.
I think it's Luke's, but I'm not certain. I'm fairly certain it's Nathan Luke's, but I could be wrong.
I thought I heard that he has a weird name pronunciation, but either way, he's also a guy with some nice power as well. And then you have some contact guys with Heineman and Jimenez at the back of the order. I think that sets up poorly for Woods Richardson. Therefore, I like the Blue Jays. And then for Minnesota, I'll put them in the Sunshine Showdown. Geez, that's a tongue twister. I'm going to struggle with that one. But this team would be in the bottom tier for me. But with game theory being thought about, Eric Lauer probably going to be around 25 to 30% owned. I don't mind if you're doing a bunch of lineups and you wanted to get a little bit different there.
All right, I'll take the L. I stand corrected. It is Lucas. You are correct. It's Nathan Lucas. No Ketel Marte, by the way, for Arizona. So that does weaken the D-backs lineup there versus the combination of Aaron Ashby and Eric Fetty. If you missed it, Priester no longer pitching for the Brewers tonight. Already out the gate. First game, we have a team in the game, a team in Tier 1. Philadelphia and the Mets. That's Nolan McLean taking on Taijuan Walker. McLean is a pretty heavy favorite here versus Philadelphia, minus 161, 8.5 total. I believe the wind is blowing out just a little bit here towards right center. That was the only thing that really Roth had noted on this entire slate weather-wise. Let's see. Winds blowing mostly left to right across the field at 10 miles per hour. And nothing else of note. He had a note as far as the Yankees, but that game was already played. But, yeah, pretty clean when it comes to weather, unless something changes. But, of course, Roth will let you guys know when he jumps on. Philly and the Mets. What do you got?
Yeah, for the Phillies, I'm going to put them in the third tier here. I know McLean has looked good. He's getting some respect from these Vegas props and these lines as well. And I can't really argue that. But the main argument here is that I do think he's still going to have some ownership. I think some people are going to see that those strikeout performances, and he'll get some ownership. I already touched on the hard contact, and then when you consider the matchup here for McLean, pretty much all these hitters have a 21% strikeout rate or lower against righties. And if this is a guy who's been so reliant on generating swings and misses, and maybe he can't, maybe we'll see more of that hard contact sort of come through. And obviously, we know this Phillies team has a ton of power, so I'll put them in the third tier. I saw Steve really trying to will this Mets team into the game earlier. And that's where I'm going to put them. I'll put them in the top tier just for Steve. It is a good matchup. Taijuan Walker obviously has been better this year than he was last year, but that wasn't necessarily all that hard to do. He was so bad last year. And the thing that I'm considering the most is that some of these ancillary guys, these lefties like Jeff McNeil, Brett Beatty, Brendan Nimmo, if you want to call him an ancillary piece, they improve. They look even better against a lefty here who's allowed a good amount of hard contact, against a righty who struggled against lefties, 47% hard contact, 2 lefties, CSW around 25%. So I think he'll struggle to miss some bats against a team with these lefties that don't strike out too much. So I do like the Mets quite a bit here.
Producer Steve using a little bit of producer magic there, getting the Mets all the way up to the game. You ever use one of those Ouija boards? You ever tried a Ouija board when you were younger? I don't know. Maybe if you're an adult as well. You're aware of the concept, though, right?
Yeah, I tried it once when I was, I don't know, probably in like 5th or 6th grade. Never went back to it because it didn't work.
I feel like people are sort of kind of willing, they're trying to because you sort of can spell things out, as it's going. Or maybe Milton Bradley has they actually have the Force and they're selling it for $12.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's true too. I don't know. Could go either way. We just got the Dodgers. It's Ohtani leading off. Betts, Teoscar, Pages, Enrique Hernandez. Oh, so who's got to be out? So no Freeman and no Will Smith. So
bump for Lodolo.
Yeah, that's of note. Ohtani, Betts, I'm like Pages is hitting cleanup. That seems weird. And then Encarnacion is hitting not Encarnacion. Kike Enrique Hernandez is hitting 5th. Conforto left on left. Rojas rushing is doing the catching, and then Freeland. So that is a bump for Lodolo. No Freeman and no left on left, but also no Will Smith. Big downgrade to rushing. Okay. I think
Lodolo stonks are rising.
Yeah. That is of note. Rushing also left on left too. I don't know why they would. You could choose when to rest Will Smith and when not to. But there's a reason why I suppose rushing is in the catching today, and not Will Smith. But there you go. Okay, we'll talk about them soon enough as far as drawing them on the board. We did mention Arizona just came out, and there is no Ketel Marte, so that lineup is significantly weakened. It's Perdomo, Blaze Alexander, Carroll. Is that new? Alexander jumping in front of Carroll? That seems weird. I know there's an opener with Ashby, the lefty, but then there's Fetty. All right. Gurriel, Pavin Smith, McCann, Del Castillo, Thomas, and Vargas. Milwaukee is the favorite here, minus 133 against Ryan Nelson. I don't know what to do with this Arizona lineup. Arizona and Milwaukee. I never know what to do with Milwaukee. I know Cheese talks about it in his article all the time because they don't hit enough homers. They did last night. They had a couple at least. Good for them. But I tend to be under the field of them, just generally speaking, and I probably will be again tonight. Arizona, Brewers, what do you got?
Yeah, for the Brewers here against Nelson, I mean, it's sort of a spot where it's just like two vanilla options on both sides. I mean, I know the Brewers have been really good, especially after the break, but from an offensive and like a stacking perspective, there's certainly been more exciting options out there. I'll put the Brewers in the war on I4 tier. Certainly won't argue if you wanted to attack them a little bit more. And then on the other side for Arizona, I'll just double down here. I'll put them both in the same tier. Ashby's an interesting pitcher. I mean, we haven't really seen him a ton, and it's tough to know what they're actually planning on doing here, pitch count wise and whatnot. But for the majority of what I'm expecting for this Arizona team, I'll put them in the 3rd tier. I guess I would lean them slightly in the 4th tier. If you wanted to drop them down, I wouldn't hate that, but I'll put them in the middle there, just because of the the lack of information available on this potential pitching rotation here for the Brewers tonight.
I'm only thinking a couple innings for Ashby. He threw 36 pitches on the 25th. So, 2 days ago, he threw 36 pitches. I'm sorry. Yeah, 36 pitches. On the 22nd, he threw 23. On the 19th, he threw 50.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking at most 3 innings for Ashby, depending on efficiency and all that.
Yeah. I would say 3 is probably would be high. I think, at most. Honestly, it'll probably just be, but it's just an interesting. So you said Marte is out. So they got kind of bailed out with Marte being out, because that would have been a really interesting move to throw out a lefty opener against Marte.
Yeah.
So.
Well, isn't Marte a switch hitter?
Yeah.
Is he? Yeah. Okay.
But he's better. He's much more power from the right side against lefties, which Ashby's lefty. So I mean, it doesn't matter now because out of the lineup Ashby. But Marte's been he's actually been better power wise against righties this year. That's not the case career wise though. But nonetheless, I think it's still a mid tier play for me for Arizona with Fetty following.
Royals, White Sox, 8.5 total. Aaron Savali versus Ryan Berger. You talked about liking Berger a little bit earlier. Liking, I guess, is kind of relative to the slate, but you have to find somebody in the mid tier. The White Sox are dogs. They're plus 112. KC minus 136. Man, it just feels like Kansas City never really gets there. At least when you expect them to get there, they certainly don't. Every once in a while they will when you don't expect it. Maybe that's just my experience. I don't know. What do you have as far as the Royals and Chicago?
Yeah, I'll put the White Sox in the Sunshine Showdown tier. Again, I mentioned Berger. I think from a stacking perspective, I'm not like dying to stack against them, especially against with a team that I'm not overly enthused with in the White Sox. But the lack of strike upsides really the only thing pushing me away from Berger, so that doesn't really help the White Sox there. And then on the other side for the Royals, I actually like this team quite a bit today. I'm going to put them in the second tier, 100 miles of hate. Savali's a guy who I don't mind targeting whatsoever. This is a really interesting, sort of smaller stack team in my opinion, because like at the back of the lineup, nobody super intriguing, which is could be unfortunate for like getting the lineup to turn over. But in terms of it offering guys who are fairly cheap or just having smaller stacks, I think it's a somewhat interesting option. Yastrzemski is sub 4K. He's been really good since the trade. Salvador Perez obviously the catcher options 4-2. For Savali, in terms of breaking his splits down, he gives a lot more hard contact against lefties, but he also misses more bats. So for me, you look at a guy like Vinny P, who I might be one of the bigger Vinny P haters out there, but he doesn't strike out a whole lot. So when he provides power, when he does, it kind of pans out. So if Savali is unable to strike him out, I do think Vinny P also looks pretty good along with Yastrzemski, Witt, Perez, Garcia. So this first five, I like Kansas City quite a bit. So they'll be in the second tier.
It's been a tough 10 days or so to be a Vinny P hater. He's been the pass box has been banging on homers pretty much every single day. He's been
don't I know it, man. But the main reason why I'm a Vinny P hater is because every time I bet on this Royals team, he always putting up offers, and then I forget the team that they were playing. I think it was Texas, and Kansas City was up like 3-2 or 4-3 or something like the 8th inning. Ground ball to Vinny P, he absolutely just kicks it. And then they go on to score 6 runs. There was 2 outs when he kicked the ball. The Vinny P tilt is still alive. But yeah, from the hitting perspective, it's hard to hate on him right now for sure.
The grudge is warranted. That is you can't hold him forever, but like at least for a couple weeks or so, you gotta. It sticks around in your mind. Yeah. You mentioned Yaz, and just my only issue with Yaz is he can turn the grid chip very easily when a lefty comes in, which is super annoying. I saw Derek Carty's the bat has Yastrzemski's pinch hit risk at 38%, which is just not a fun number. But like any at bats against Savali and righties, I like him a lot. So it's just kind of this push pull, and I never really know what to do. But you might only get 3 at bats. Okay,
yeah, that's fair.
Pittsburgh and St. Louis. Sonny Gray against what we're expecting. We have an opener in Medinsky. I should have pronounced that. I should have checked to see how to pronounce this guy's name, but I don't remember. I might have botched that one. I'm not sure. But I know Bubba Chandler is the presumed long man to come in afterwards. Sonny Gray, one of the more popular pitchers in the bump. Pittsburgh's got a team total just barely above 3. St. Louis, a minus 375. Nope, 175 favorites. Pirates, they had a big night last night. Good for them. But still, this collection of hitters is pretty terrible. I'm pretty sure they have the lowest number of total homers in baseball. I feel like that's a fact. I will confirm that in a second as I throw it to you. Pirates and Cardinals.
Yeah, no interest in anybody on this Pittsburgh team. You might have to pay me to roster any of these guys. So I'll put them in the Egg Bowl where they belong. They didn't even get the terminology of being the Golden Egg Bowl. They're just in the Egg Bowl. So don't like Pittsburgh at all. For St. Louis, again, it's always tricky to assess the potential I guess bullpen day or pitching rotation for Pittsburgh. Bubba Chandler, I mean, he looked really good in his first start. We talked about it, only threw 40 pitches, but he absolutely cruised through 4 innings. No earned runs. So he's not necessarily a guy I'm dying to attack. So I'll put Cardinals there in the War on I4 tier. I have no problem if you were someone who wanted to bump them down. But they do have a 4.5 implied team total. They do have some guys in the lineup that can produce some power, but not dying to attack who I'm expecting to be the long reliever, Bubba Chandler.
I mean, I know it's been a down year for O'Neal Cruz, but like this collection of hitters, and he's hitting 7th against the righty.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? I understand it's been a down year for him, but he's not the 7th best hitter on this team.
Well, you you got to have Nick Gonzalez in the 5 spot because he is just awesome, right? He has so much power. He's kind of the key to this offense. He makes things go around. So after that, you're kind of lost without Nick Gonzalez.
You got to see what you have in 33-year-old Tommy Pham, and if you hit him any lower, he'll give it. He's not afraid to throw down, so he might cause a stink if he's lower in the lineup.
Especially about fantasy football.
Don't. Mike Trout apparently is a terrible commissioner. I'm not sure if you've probably heard that story.
Yeah,
Mike Trout should not be the commissioner of any fantasy leagues, according to Tommy Pham. The Angels and the Rangers, Jacob Latz against Jack Kohanowitz. This is kind of one of the more, I don't want to say sneaky games, but one of the more interesting games, more interesting than the last couple, at least for me. Where do you want to put the Angels and Texas?
Yeah, for the Angels, I think it's a difficult sort of team to analyze because I don't think Latz is even a guy going super deep into the game. He's been a pretty fine pitcher. I mean, he's actually been really good at limiting power against righties. I'll put the Angels in that mid tier again. I know I'm kind of loading up there, but I'll just put them there safely, kind of ride the fence. And then for the Rangers, been on the slate twice when Kohanowitz has faced the Rangers on a Wednesday when I've been here. The first time Kohanowitz allowed 8 runs and I think 2 innings. Next one, I was banging the drum for the Rangers. They scored 0 runs. But Kohanowitz do not be fooled. Kohanowitz is bad. Very, very bad. And this is a good matchup for this Rangers team, especially because they have so many lefties that, again, sort of look even better against the guy who has a 62% hard contact rate against lefties. I'm going with them in the game tier, put them in the top tier. And the main reason for them being in the top tier, because I don't think they have as much upside as others, but it's price. Like their price is very easy to afford. I mean, the most expensive player is Corey Seager at 4.6, and you have no problem paying that price for Corey Seager, especially in this matchup. After that, you have a lot of options under 4 and even 3K. So love the Rangers and their salary relief options. They fit really well with Sonny Gray and Framber Valdez lineups.
We don't talk a lot of ERA, but yeah, Kohanowitz over a 6 ERA and 107 innings pitched. His walk rate is dangerously close to his K rate, 14.5% Ks, 11.3% walks. If he has a skill, his one skill is getting ground balls. So, good for him. But he got sent down to the minors, and he wasn't any good down there either. Just screw him. Let's set him back up. Whatever. What's the difference? He's back up. It's not that he earned another promotion, but he's back, and he has not been spectacular. Chase Dollander, by the way, a 6.91 ERA. I didn't realize it was that bad. I knew it wasn't bad, but I'm looking at all the pitchers, and that's 82 innings, a 6.91. I know Coors Field, yada, yada. But, man, that is a Sierra lower than 5 if you want to forgive him to some degree. He's been unlucky when it comes to left-on base stuff. By the way, are we still only on one Spidey Bomb, or is Spidey sleeping? We have less than 100 likes. That's outrageous. When we get to 100 likes, if you haven't got there just yet, a second Spidey Bomb will be dropping. We were talking about Texas. I figured I'd shout out. It is scrolling right now. Rowdy Tellez. You can get him at 5-1, at least one of the books, according to Spidey and TJ. We have 4 more games to go until crunch time comes in, about 15 minutes or so. Dave Potts, TastefulTides Tim, as well as who's joining them? It's TJ. Yeah, there you go. TJ, Tim, and Kevin Roth. Rockies, Astros. Astros have a team total above 5. I don't think we have a lineup just yet, but they are massive favorites. 3-1 favorites, -304 if you want to get all technical here. Framber Valdez, not spectacular of late, but historically one of the best pitchers throwing baseballs tonight. We know the Rockies are pretty terrible, not as terrible versus lefties, but they are outside of Coors where they have been, wait for it, terrible. Colorado and Houston. Do you like the leverage? You like the Colorado leverage, or is that a not? Is that a not wave?
It's probably no. I mean, if you're doing 150 lineups, I don't hate getting to some of this, these 3 guys, Doyle, Goodman, and Beck, and you can round it out with Mr. Warming, Burnable, even Tovar. And Kyle Farmer always hits lefties pretty good too. So I mean, there are ways that you can stack this team, but I think if you're doing it, you are accepting that they're probably not going to score many runs. You're just strictly doing that because of the fact that maybe half the lineups in these contests are going to have Valdez. So you're looking to get some damage there. For me, I'll put them in the final tier in the Egg Bowl. The only real case to bump them up at all is that leverage. But for Houston, this is a good spot. I mean, Dollander, he's sort of been working deeper into games now, which could be a good thing for Houston stacks the way he's been pitching. He's allowed 11 runs in his last 7 or 8 innings. So it has not been good for Dollander as of late. Obviously, you do have to give him a little bit of of flack there because of the idea that he does have to pitch in course for the majority of his starts. I mean, 6 of his last 7 starts have been, or 5 of his last 6 starts have been in Colorado. So again, it is difficult. He also has faced the Dodgers twice in that time frame and the Astros. So it hasn't been an easy proposition that they're asking of Dollander for sure, but he certainly has not shown up for the role. And he really struggles against lefties, a lot of hard contact, doesn't miss any bats. Houston's going to be in the top tier for me. Like them quite a bit here. Good to have Jordan back. I think Sanchez looks great today. And then, I mean, you do have a lot of righties in this lineup, so maybe that's the only downfall to the Astros, because I do think Dollander is going to be a guy who's going to have some pretty significant splits, but a good stack nonetheless.
They did bump up Jordan's price from where it was yesterday. He's now 5K on DK, which is still fine. And I think he's 3-3 on FanDuel, which is probably a tick too low still. But yesterday was 3K FanDuel and like 4-5 or so on DK. His first came back in a while. My second Spidey Bomb has since dropped. It is Juan Soto. Juan Soto is Spidey Bomb number 2. By the way, J3 confirming here in chat via Chat GPT, which has never been wrong by my understanding. Apparently, Lodolo is good to go. A bench quote, throw about 5 innings and 85 to 90 pitches. It's like, which comes first? What if he's thrown like 70 pitches through 5? That's it? And some coaches have like the innings thing, and some coaches have the pitches thing. I'm sure you've seen that before. Like, and like, you know, we hear like innings you labor in. What do they say? Is it labored innings? I can't remember the actual term they use. But yeah, well, that's 5 innings is not a lot, but I guess he could be okay in 5. He could strike out 7 or 8 in 5. But and who knows?
Yeah.
It's ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think whenever you hear about like a limit on pitchers, general managers and managers always allude to the innings, right? You get to the end of the year, oh, we want this person under 200 innings, whatever it is, especially for young guys. But that is an interesting discussion because, like, at the end of the day, innings can look so much different. You can have a 5-pitch inning, you can have a 25-pitch inning. So it is interesting. That is for sure. But I will say that I do sort of believe that Lodolo is going to be fine more often than not in this scenario. For this one, I'm putting Reds in the final tier in the Egg Bowl. I think, I'm not trying to pick on Ohtani. Also, not many bats that I'm loving here. So they'll be in the Egg Bowl there with the Pirates and the Rockies. And then for the Dodgers, I'll put them in the 3rd tier. I'm assuming people are going to have interest in stacking against Lodolo. I'm not. I'm going to fade this one. I already bet the under on the first 5 in this game. So I'm not expecting a ton of production. I already had some interest in Lodolo. And then the lineup that the Dodgers rolled out got even worse with no Will Smith, no Freddie Freeman. So I'm going to put them in the 3rd tier.
Yeah, I didn't fully. That was my bad. I didn't fully introduce that game. But 8.5 total there. Ohtani, Robleski is the presumed reliever behind Ohtani for what it's worth. Lodolo and the Dodgers with less than a 5-team total might have dipped down with the addition of the announcement of their lineup. Yeah, it went from, I just hit refresh. It was at 4.95. And these are just decimal points, but it matters, I think, at least as far as a projection perspective, down to a 4.61 team total with the absence of both Freddie Freeman and Will Smith in this lineup. I assume Conforto sticks around, but there is always pinch hit concern for guys like Enrique Hernandez when a righty comes in there. Rushing could possibly get pinch hit for Will Smith if the situation calls for it late in the game. Although I can't imagine getting excited about playing Dalton Rushing left on left here versus Lodolo. Not something that I'm into. We got the A's and no Wilson, by the way. No Wilson for the Athletics. Kurtz, Langoliers, Rookers, Soderstrom. Why did I say Rookers? I did an S. Soderstrom, Butler, Hernaiz, Bleday, Harris, and Geloff. No Detroit just yet, and no Chicago. Still no Houston. Those are the 3 lineups we're waiting for. I assume they're going to drop during crunch time. If not crunch time, sometime into the night. 2 more games to go. It's the Cubs. The Cubs are in San Fran. It's Carson Wisenhunt against the Cubbies. Again, no Chicago lineup just yet. Colin Ray on the other side, 8.5 total. Chicago is the favored team, minus 132. Cubs, Giants in San Fran. What do you got?
Giants are going to be in the 4th tier here in the Sunshine Showdown tier. Colin Ray, not the guy I'm, afraid of by any means, but ballpark's not great. there are some lefties in this lineup that could certainly do some damage, but I think you could also maybe ask for a couple of more lefties, considering how much better Colin Ray has been against righties. So guys like Ramos, Adames, Chapman, they don't look as good against right here. So that now you're looking at guys like Lee, Devers. I mean, these guys are totally fine, but I do think that kind of hurts the stack as a whole. And then for the Cubs, I like this team a little bit here tonight. I'm going to put them in the number 2 tier in 100 miles of hate. Obviously, they were one of the coldest teams in baseball post All-Star break. But this is, I think, a good spot for them to potentially kind of right the ship. I know I talked about the ballpark not being good, but you do have a couple of righties in this line that hit lefties very well. So I'll take the Cubs there in that second tier.
Brian Wu had a 25-game streak of going 6 innings or more, and it was snapped today. He went 5 2/3. That's amazing in this day and age as far as consistency. Just an absolute rock. I know Framber had something like that a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly. Framber Valdez, somewhere 26, 27, 28, 29. Do you remember this? As far as maybe it was quality starts. It might have been quality starts.
Yeah, I think it was quality starts, yeah.
Yeah, something in the 20s, if nothing else. But, 5 2/3. We just missed it there as far as continuing that 25-game streak. That is pretty amazing the way pitchers are managed these days. Detroit, the Athletics, the hammer game, 10.5 total, both teams here with a team total above 5 individually. Your Detroit Tigers, no lineup out just yet, but I presume guys like Colt Keith will be interesting. Carpenter, Riley Green, a grand slam last night, went for naught. Just, 480 to dead center? Just absolutely destroyed it. I'm sure you saw it. That was pretty spectacular off of Beto, who's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. I don't know why they keep rolling him out there. The best days is when you can catch him out of the bullpen. You never really know when that's going to happen, but he's been pretty rough. All right, Detroit and the Athletics. Close it out.
Yeah, Morales has been pretty good, but small sample and potentially a little bit lucky here. 3.42 FIP, 3.92 xFIP, 1.94 BABIP. So probably going to be due for some regression, and this is not necessarily the matchup that you are looking to avoid if you are hoping to keep that good luck going. Tough matchup here against the Tigers. Tigers are going to be in the top tier for me. A lot of good lefties: Colt Keith, Carpenter, Riley Green. You got Perez and McKinstry at the back of the order as well. So love the Tigers tonight. A's, I also have some interest in. They're going to be in that second tier. And the reason why they're not a top tier team, despite having a pretty good implied run total, is a little bit more difficult to actually stack around, especially if you are considering comparing them to other teams in that top tier, just price wise. I mean, obviously I know you have a lot of high upside guys, but you're also looking at a team that's played in this very hitter friendly ballpark all year long. So you have pretty much 3 of the 4 guys are 4.9 or more, and you're not necessarily dying to stack around the A's if you're not including Kurtz, Langeliers, or Brent Rooker. So give them a slight bump down just because of that. And also Casey Mize, I know he has some underlying metrics that are a little bit shaky, but he's good at missing bats against lefties. So I think that could potentially help him in matchups against guys like Soderstrom, Butler, Kurtz. So I think that could help him pitch around some of this power, this big power in the A's lineup. So I'll put them in the second tier.
All right, going to recap the board here in a second. As I recap, Kyle, do you have any bets for the people, any homers, anything on scores and odds, anything college football-wise? Feel free to get a couple of those ready to go. Also wanted to mention the Giants lineup did drop. It's Ramos, Devers, Adames, Dom Smith, Chapman, Schmidt. I don't know why, but Young-Hoo Lee is batting 7th, which seems kind of weird to me against Colin Ray, but that's what he's doing. Luis Matos, and I guess this is a bump to Colin Ray because Kisner's in there, and Kisner is dreadful doing the catching for the Giants. All right, here is the board in case you missed it, in case you're just joining us now. The board was, this is what we ranked. We ranked the name of college football rivalries. Every college football rivalry has a big name. Tier number one is the game, of course, the game at Michigan and Ohio State. We got 5 teams up there. It's Toronto, the Mets, Texas, Houston, and Detroit. Tier 2, it's 100 miles of hate. Everybody knows this is Middle Tennessee. They really, really hate Western Kentucky. That's Chicago, the Athletics, and Kansas City. The war on I-4. You got to take I-4 if you want to get to Tampa. If you're in Orlando, that's USF. South Florida, the Bulls taking on the UCF Knights. That is the war on I-4. That is the most popular tier on the slate. It's Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Arizona, St. Louis, Anaheim, and the Dodgers. Sunshine Showdown. Just no, I don't think anybody cares about. Nobody calls it that in the state of Florida, to my knowledge. Maybe they do upstate, but I'm down here in the bottom. You don't hear that terminology very often. That is Florida and Florida State, and the Egg Bowl. That is Sunshine Showdown. It is San Fran, Chicago, the White Sox, I should say, Minnesota. The Egg Bowl. I guess if you want to make it golden, by all means, do so. But the Egg Bowl is Mississippi State. No, Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. Yeah, there you go. I got it right the first time. That's Pittsburgh, Colorado. That's their home in the 5-hole, and Cincinnati is joining them. Did I give you enough time? Did I give you enough time to come up with some bets? Any bets you have on layaway? Like I said, there's no golf bets, right? Because there's no golf this weekend. What is the big is it the Ryder Cup? Yes, the Ryder Cup. What is that?
It's a month from today.
Okay, so is there no golf till then?
There's one event, I think September 10th, that weekend, the Pro Tour, and then you got 2 weeks off, and then you got the Ryder Cup. It's weekend of like September 25th through 27th or whatever it is. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I saw a lot of people were talking about the captain's pick, and that was a big topic today in the sports world. If you have a thought, by all means, fire it away. But people want some bets. What do you have out there? Maybe you have some on scores and outs, maybe not, but give them a taste betting-wise today.
Yeah, I got 2 MLB plays. I already touched on me betting the under first 5, under 4.5 in the Reds-Dodgers game. So I like that one, especially with the lineup that the Dodgers ended up rolling out a little bit weaker. I think Lodolo even has a better chance at success tonight now. I also took the Blue Jays minus 1.5 at plus money. That was only plus money on a couple of books, so make sure you're shopping around for that one. But Toronto minus 1.5, and then I put in my first NFL bet of the season today. It was a player prop, Mecca Ibuka over 4.5 receptions. Like that one quite a bit. So yeah.
I like that too. You got to pay juice for that?
It was minus 118 at BetMGM, but some other books had it minus 138, minus 140. So some value there on MGM and even Bet365. So yeah.
I realized the chat's let me know I called it the Red River Shootout, and it's the Red River Rivalry. So my bad. That is, I'll take an L on that one too.
How dare you?
Yeah, well, I'm being called out for it, and they're right. They're right to call me out when I make a mistake. But yeah, I referenced that earlier in the show. Maybe somebody's watching it on delay. I'm not really sure, but I was incorrect by saying I got 2 out of 3 words correctly, but that's not good enough. I get it. You guys are right. I'm wrong. I'll take the L. We'll move along. We'll bring in crunch time. Maybe TJ, Tim, and Roth can do better. Here's crunch time right now. Speaking of doing better, Roth, I think you played MLB DFS again last night. Did you double down? You were playing with the house's money. It wasn't your money. It was the house's money.
Yeah. I stacked up the Astros, and I think they had 1 run. They ended up with 1 run. Didn't go great, but it's not whether you win or lose. It's the fun you have while doing it, Dean.
Did you have fun?
I didn't have any fun, so I'm not doing it again.
That's it. That's the end of your 2025 MLB DFS experience.
Eventually NFL is coming back soon enough, and I'll be back in the streets then.
You dabble in the NFL streets, right?
Oh yeah. I play NFL and NBA like fairly consistently, I would say.
Programming note, by the way, this time, well, not exactly this time, but this day next week, Wednesday night. Actually, TJ's here. TJ's producing that show. The Pick 6 show is back, 8 o'clock live if you want to watch with us. Rich Rebar and John Daigle. Just a spectacular show. It's a good table setter. You don't have to listen live, but I think it helps. We enjoy to go back and forth and chat when necessary. But I'm excited to talk some football for sure. And Ross will be playing some lineups. TJ, I'm sure you're enthused. We actually have a good time in that show. I think we enjoy and we talk a little bit of movies afterwards. We look at 2 hours sometimes, depending on. It's a good listen, but maybe I'm biased. What's up, TJ?
2 hours, I'd say, is the bare minimum for that show. We've taken it to 3 hours a couple times before. But yeah, I would say it's I agree with you. Not only is it a lot of fun, it's my favorite show of the week come football season, but I genuinely think it's like among the very best football shows to listen to in the entire industry, and if not the best. So really looking forward to being back behind the scenes in that one, and popping my head in to talk about Spencer Rattler every now and then.
Yeah, you got to hype up your Saints. Daigle from ETR and Rebar from Sharp Football. Those guys really bring it. They are spectacular. I'm just steering the ship and letting them go. Tim, happy Wednesday. How are things? Everything good?
Doing well, Dean. Yeah, the Pick Six show. I think that might be my favorite show in all of the DFS football space. I listen to it every single week, and I don't even stick around for the movie part. So
come on, Tim.
some say that is the best part, but I don't even listen to that part. I just go for the football stuff. It's a long show, but it's really, really good.
I see in chat Roth is trying to question what the game is. I guess you're not a big football rivalry guy. Michigan State. No, Michigan and Ohio State. Sorry, I got it wrong again.
I don't know. I thought it was Triple H. When I heard the game, I was like, what does it have to do with Triple H? No, I've never heard that nickname, but yeah, college football, not really my thing. I'm more of a
it's probably, Roth, it's not your fault. It hasn't been much of a rivalry the last 4 years because Michigan's just dominated 4 years in a row.
That is
by the way,
yeah,
just for the record. So maybe that's why it hasn't been as prominent this year. Thank you.
That checks out.
One more question before I get out of here, Roth. You went to Florida, I think, and I'm in the state of Florida. You have some Florida ties. How often do you hear Florida State? You went to Florida State?
I went to Florida State, bud, which I'm not. It isn't something to be proud of lately, but yeah, Florida State. I don't know why I thought
you. Did you live in Gainesville at some point too? Is that why I put you in? Okay, just my bad.
Smattering of ex-girlfriends from Gainesville, but no, never.
A smattering. Yeah. What's that, like 6? What's a smattering?
2 or 3, depending on what qualifies.
Did you ever refer to Florida State as the Sunshine Showdown? Do you hear that often?
Literally never heard that. And I went to Florida State for like 7 years because I was basically Van Wilder. So,
yeah. I just wanted to, you and Bert Kreischer. That's what it was based on. I'm not sure if you're aware. Little fun fact for the people. But I heard that Kyle mentioned that to me, and I was like, I don't think I've really heard people call it the Sunshine Showdown. That's
I just Googled it for what I've never heard either. I just Googled names.
No.
All right. The people want to hear some baseball. Toronto starts Roth 7:07. Just so you know, 7:07.
Ooh, the old Canada time. Get your loonies and toonies ready for that one.
Ration your time appropriately.
Rob's at the point that he is happy to hear a 7:07 start because it means it's not 7:10 or 7:15.
That is exactly how I felt, actually, STJ. That's correct. Yeah.
For those that bet the under on a half a mute, cash your tickets because there were 0 mutes for me despite all the rain. That was Kyle. I was Dean. Thanks for watching the first portion of Grinders Live. Now, you got Kevin Roth, TJ. You have TastefulTides, Tim Buell taking you home for crunch time. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, a mute-free show is tough to follow up on, but we will do our best. 2 of the sharpest minds in the industry. Got TastefulTides in the house, looking dapper as always. What's up, Tim?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Kevin. Who did you pitch last night with your Houston stack?
The expensive dude who kind of sucked, and Verlander who was fine.
Yeah, Hunter Brown. Yeah, he was not great, but he hung in there. He didn't have his best.
He got the Ks. He got it done, but not to overcome a stack that scores 1 run. That's
right. Yeah,
that's tough to push through.
Yeah, pitching on tonight's slate is pretty mediocre, but there are definitely guys that we can talk about. And I think there's a clear chalky pairing for cash games for those who play cash.
Okay, very good. We will get to that shortly. First, we got to bring in TJ Zwarych, our favorite Canadian, my personal favorite Canadian. Higher than Ryan Reynolds, higher than Celine Dion, Martin St. Louis. Actually, you might be second to Marty St. Louis, but either way, you're in good company. What's up, TJ? How are you?
Oh, not too much. Happy to be on the show with you, gentlemen. Just dropped the 3rd Spidey bomb in chat. Jock Peterson plus 400 to go along with Rowdy Tellez and Juan Soto. So got us up to 200 likes, and I do have a 4th one for the people. So keep hitting that like button. Had a great day. This is the first time that my wife is back at work and my daughter is at daycare. And so I've been having this week, in addition to not having football starting till next week, I've just been kind of chilling because the house is empty and I don't have a lot of work to do. I'm going to have a lot of work to do starting next week, but this week, not much. So I've been continuing on my quest to watch as many great movies as I can. I've been watching a ton of movies. I was a 2v2 from taking down single entry this morning in the early slate, but so didn't quite take it all down, but still had a great day and won some tickets to for week 1 of NFL. So had a nice day. Almost took down the early slate. Watched 2 movies already. Had a nice bacon and egg breakfast. It's been a good day.
Man, and it's
how
only getting better.
many best ball teams have you drafted during this week?
So I decided I was gonna cap myself at 50 in the big DK tournament, and so I finished my 50, and now I'm just trying to max out the 20 entry max $3 one, just a smaller one, because I gotta make sure I'm saving up these entry fees for not just week 1, but we got Thursday showdown, we got Friday showdown.
Right.
Like there's
each one's gonna have like $1 million at the top. Like
exactly.
Each one is gonna be huge. That is a good point.
So I still want to be able to pass the time drafting, but that's what's nice is they are some of those smaller dollar contests where I get to occupy the ADHD brain without actually having to break the bank.
I love it. You know what the people love, TJ? They love the Spidey Bombs. And those are not free. They come at a cost. Why don't you explain to the people what they need to do if they want more of those?
Got to keep hitting that like button. So we got 3 scrolling at the bottom so far. Rowdy Tellez, Juan Soto, and the third one that should be scrolling soon, Jock Peterson at plus 400. Drop that one in the chat. So as long as we keep hitting that like button, we got the 4th one coming at 200 likes. Some questions in chat about my breakfast. I eat my eggs over easy. Someone asked about Canadian bacon. No, it's just ham.
Yeah,
it's just ham. I had bacon. And Dean wants to know what movies I watched today. I watched The Hateful Eight and Ready Player One.
Ready Player One I really liked a lot.
I really liked it too. I had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Okay. Hey, you know what? We've been chatting. We're all friends here. We could chat all day long, but the people want the winners. That's what they are here for. And that's what we're going to give them. Some good news on my end here. We do not have any weather concerns. Really, it's been, I don't want to jinx it. Never mind. I'm not even going to say it. No weather concerns tonight. That's all I care about.
Any spicy hot weather that we need to know about, Kevin?
Not really. I don't think I had anything that was all that exciting. Looking temperatures mostly in the 70s. Again, Sacramento is my favorite, but it's just kind of typical weather there. Temperature in the 80s. Winds are gently blowing out between 5 to 10 miles per hour. So it's nothing exceptional. But as all of the other spots start cooling down through the year and they're still in the 80s, it becomes increasingly important. So just something worth noting as we move through the next few weeks and close out baseball season. There's going to be some games that are played in the 50s and 60s, and Sacramento could still be, in the 80s for some of those games. So worth noting. Let's talk about pitchers. Tim, why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, so I know Hunter Brown was not great last night, but he wasn't awful. I still won with him in single entry pretty easily. Like he didn't completely tank your teams. Like I know that he did not meet expectations, but I think we could still go back to attacking this historically bad Rockies team. So Framber Valdez at 10-3 is going to be my SB1. He's going to be my SB1 in GPP and in cash games. I think he's pretty easy to get to. And I think this is pretty much a don't overthink it spot here. Sonny Gray against the Pirates, 9,500. He's going to be your SB2 in cash. He's not absolutely necessary in GPPs, but he's definitely, a really, really solid play because these two guys are clearly the one and two on the slate. Like it's not really that close. So that's like the easiest thing for cash tonight. Like that's your 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. That could be your 1 and 2 in tournaments as well. But they are going to be the highest owned pitchers as well. So those are your 2 cash game guys. I really like Nolan McLean tonight at 9K. We don't really know who or what he's going to be, but so far, he looks good. So I think that he's somebody that you could definitely get to in GPPs. in a pretty tough matchup. He's projected for about 13 fantasy points, but I think he's got upside for more than that. So I think he could definitely be a part of your GBP pool. Eric Lauer at 8K. He's probably a little bit safer than McLean, and he's 1,000 cheaper, but I think he's also going to be a little bit more popular. So he would be definitely somebody I would have in my primary pool for GBP pitching. Shohei Ohtani, he's so tough to kind of talk about and play because he's got like a real limit ceiling, and it's not great. He's not going to go longer than 5 innings. But he could end up dominating this matchup. So he's definitely going to be in the pool for me. He's definitely another pitcher that you can consider. After that, it really gets pretty bad in my opinion. It's maybe you could play Colin Ray. Maybe you could play Justin Roblowski, but I would probably just stick with Eric Lauer, that Ohtani range in terms of pricing. I don't know if TJ, you want to talk about any punts that you would play, but I only play like cash and 3 max and single entry stuff. So all these cheap guys for me are kind of out.
Tim, did you mention Ohtani? I'm sorry if you did.
I did. I mean, he's definitely viable. He's
Yeah.
definitely viable. And so is Ryan Nelson at 7,700. I guess I wouldn't go anywhere below Ryan Nelson at 77. The Brewers, like Cheese mentioned in his article today, the Brewers are a really weird team. Like that, they're not supposed to be this good, but they just consistently are this good. It's kind of like, what do you think? For me, it's kind of like, what do I think the market's going to do with Ryan Nelson? If I feel like people aren't going to play him, then I might play him. But if I feel like he's going to get steamed, then I'm not going to play him. So that's kind of a tough one for me. And anything under Ryan Nelson, I think I'm pretty much out on.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. TJ, your thoughts at pitcher, please.
Yeah, so I agree with Tim 100% that Valdez and Sonny Gray are the top 2 pitchers, and if you can jam both of them in cash, that's great, but you're definitely playing one of them in probably most lineups, even in a single entry or 3 entry max. I wrote in the expert survey this morning that I was considering hitting the lock button on Framber Valdez, and I think I'm going to go the opposite way now as I've been looking at some builds and some things I just like a little bit better. I think I'm, instead of doubling the super chalky pitcher, I'm just going to avoid them. And honestly, if I can be fully candid, the reason isn't because I think that's necessarily the best thing to do. It's because I've been having a lot of fun just loading up on the cheap pitchers lately and spending up on my bats. And I've pretty consistently either done incredibly well or incredibly terrible, but it's made watching a lot of fun. And so it kind of seems like I'm upping my risk and upping my reward a little bit, and it doesn't go well more often than not, but that's where my money is going today. But I am thinking about just throwing a couple cash game lineups in there too, just to actually get some Valdez and Gray exposure. But I'm currently going without them, and my main guy for tournaments today is Eric Lauer. I love this spot for him today for the Blue Jays. He's been just consistently good all year long. He got all the way up over 100 pitches in his last start. I've been enjoying going to him all season, and now in a matchup against Minnesota, it just feels like the perfect time for us to get a ceiling game. He's been a little bit reverse splitsy all season long. They're giving us 6 righties. None of them are really any good outside of Byron Buxton. Keyshel's had a great start. Jeffers has had a down year, but we know he's pretty good. I actually like Matt Wallner to hit a home run today, but I still like Eric Lauer as my top pitcher on the slate. And then after that, in terms of who I'm pairing with him, and Wallner is my favorite, Lauer is my favorite on FanDuel as well. In terms of some cheap options that Tim was mentioning, I don't mind the Ryan Nelson call. I'm getting some Ryan Berger. It's a fair amount. A little bit of Aaron Savali, not because I like him, but just because he's projecting really well in the bat. Playing some Ohtani, but I do like him a lot better on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings. And then Colin Ray is the only other cheap option I kind of like. But the 2 other guys I'm mixing in, just because I do think there's ceilings. I don't necessarily think they get there in this spot, but I do think the ceilings are viable. and I'm getting to Nolan McLean and Nick Lodolo. I didn't have Lodolo in my pool before, but Kyle kind of talked me into him on that last show, and then Kyle didn't quite convince me, and then the Dodgers lineup came out, and there was no Freddie Freeman, and there was no Will Smith. And so I'm looking at it and like, even if we get a low pitch count, 75 pitch game from Lodolo, he could still have a ton of strikeouts in that limited amount of time. Or maybe he gets 85, 90 pitches. And so I don't have a ton of confidence in it, but I definitely can't deny that I think the upside is there. So I am getting to a little bit of Lodolo in tournaments as well.
Aaron asking about Casey Mize, War Eagle. He says he gets overlooked. He's a great pitcher. Any interest from either of you? A little Casey Mize action?
Not for me.
No. Tim, you mentioned you're not going there.
They're playing in Sacramento.
It's that Sacramento game. I'd rather get exposure to the Athletics.
The best hitting weather on the slate. And then TJ, real quick on FanDuel, you mentioned Ohtani specifically on FanDuel. Anything else pricing wise that stands out to you you'd like to mention over there?
No, other than my preference is to go away from the chalky Valdez and Gray and go Lauer there as well.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's talk about the bats and the stacks. TJ, you can lead us off in that discussion. Who are we stacking up?
So my two highest owned stacks are the ones in that game. Detroit and the Athletics are the ones I'm getting to the most today. Right behind them are my Blue Jays, and then kind of a mixture of Houston, the Mets, and the Angels. I do really love Texas today. I'm not getting to a ton of Texas as full stacks just because I don't really need their salary savings. But if I were to do a single entry lineup today and I wanted to play Valdez and I wanted to play Gray, then I would be loading up on Texas as the stack to do it with, because as you can see, Jock Peterson and Rowdy Tellez, two of the Spidey Bombs, they're both sub 3K, and Corey Seager is arguably my favorite bat on the slate. So I'm getting to a ton of mini stacks of the Rangers, would be getting to a lot more full stacks if I was paying up. But the teams I have the most exposure of are Detroit, the Athletics, the Blue Jays, Astros, Mets, Angels, and then next is actually the Rockies.
Okay, very good. Tim, your favorites?
Yeah, so Toronto, and Detroit are my two favorite stacks of the night. They're really, really close. If you want me to take a stand on like who is my favorite, I'll go with Toronto. But it's really, really close in my eyes between Toronto and Detroit. I think we can go back to Houston after they let us down last night. We talked about the Athletics because we love this game for hitting. I know Casey Mize does have upside, but I think the Athletics can get him here. This is a really good hitting park. So the Athletics would be fourth for me. I really like the Mets against Taijuan Walker. So I don't mind the Mets here. And then for like some like cheap kind of 3-man stuff or like minis, I don't mind maybe some exposure that's like some of these Giants lefties maybe, or like some of this Kansas City against Aaron Savali. Like I don't mind Savali tonight if you're like including him in like a large field portfolio, but I also don't mind stacking against him. So I do like the Royals quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay. We want to go around the horn, talk position by position, but TJ just dropped another one. Spidey Bomb number 4. Have we already blown through all the Spidey Bombs expected, or do you have a few more kind of stored up?
I got more up my sleeve if we can get up to 250 likes, which may be doable. We're already at 200. We got 559,000 people watching on YouTube right now, Roth. So I think we can get up to 250 likes for people to keep smashing and get us a 5th Spidey Bomb.
Okay. And it's a free show. And most of these folks here are kind and good people. And all they request is a like. So we can keep the show free. That's all. Hit the thumbs up for us. Tim, let's go position by position. Start us off with a little catcher talk.
Okay. So, we've got Shea Bangaliers once again at 5,100. I think we just got that lineup out and I think he's in. Is that right, TJ? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Shea Langoliers, if you have the money, he's the top overall catcher, 5,100. We talked about that game already. Sal Perez at 4,200. I didn't mention that I do like the Royals, so I think Sal Perez is a really, really strong play. If you want to go cheaper, guys like Carson Kelly, Logan O'Hoppe, I think are pretty good. And then Dalton Rushing is my preferred punt if you just want to completely just punt the position, which I think is okay. But I think that probably if you're playing cash tonight, I think it's either Sal Perez or Carson Kelly.
Okay, very good. TJ, your favorites there at catcher, please.
Yeah, Shea Langelier is definitely my number one guy as well. I'm getting a 30% Langoliers. My highest, I believe actually maybe my highest owned bat on the slate. Yes, my highest owned bat on the slate and second highest player owned behind Eric Lauer today. So getting to a ton of Shea Langoliers. Dylan Dingler is my next highest owned catcher. Getting to some Hunter Goodman. I do like Logan O'Hoppe as well. I think that's a really good call. But for the most part, it's either Shea Langoliers or whoever's in my stack.
Okay, first base, TJ.
Yeah, sorry if you guys can hear my dogs barking right now, but
Baby.
I got another athletic at my highest owned first baseman today, Nick Kurtz. I do like taking the righties against Casey Mize a little bit more, but Nick Kurtz has been one of the best bats in the league this year, and I really like the Athletics, so I'm getting to a ton of Kurtz, getting to a ton of Pete Alonso, who I really like as well. I think I like Alonso better than Kurtz if I'm picking one because Alonso's a little bit cheaper, but just because I do have the salary, I'm getting to a little bit more Kurtz. Vinny P, I like today a lot as a one-off. And then Vlad Guerrero as well, but he's probably going to be picking up the ownership.
Okay, TJ, your thoughts there. First base, please.
Tim.
Damn it.
Yeah,
Tim, your thoughts are first. Thank you.
Yeah, that was weird. I do like Nick Kurtz quite a bit tonight. He's my preferred spend up. If you have all the money, definitely go with him. But this position is quite strong. So there's guys like Vlad Guerrero at 52, Pete Alonso at 51 that I see Dave Potts has tagged in lineup HQ. So does Justin Van Zuden. So two really sharp guys. They're both tagging Pete Alonso. He's got really, really, low odds to hit a home run tonight. I think he's like plus 220 in that Vegas odds on DraftKings to hit a homer. So like he's in a really good spot. So this position I think is definitely a spend up. I would prefer spending the extra for Nick Kurtz, but I think it's pretty close. Spencer Torkelson at 47. I talked about how much I like Detroit. Vinny P at 44 against Aaron Savali. I think he'd be fine as a one-off or part of a mini Kansas City stack. Spencer Steer once again at 36. Miguel Vargas at 37. Those would be the two value plays here. And I think that's it. But I think in cash, you should just be going to one of those top three expensive first basemen.
Yeah. Okay. That brings us to second base. Tim, what do we got there?
Gleyber Torres at 4,600. I think he's a fantastic play tonight. I think if you have the money, you're going to be playing him in cash games. If you don't quite have the money, Nico Horner probably going to be batting leadoff tonight at 3,800. I think he's a pretty solid salary saving option. Luke Keyshaw. Eric Lauer is going to get some ownership, and Lauer is a decent pitcher, but Keyshaw is a pretty good play, and I don't think he's going to get that much ownership. So Keyshaw at 4,500. Jonathan India is always pretty cheap. I know he's not amazing, but I think he's all right, part of that Kansas City stack, or just as a cheap fill-in piece. Zach Gelof at second at 3K. I think he's okay, a part of like a athletics wraparound stack.
Yeah. Okay. TJ, your thoughts on second base, please.
Yeah, nothing really standing out for me. I basically just clicked that only in stack button for all of my lineups today at second base. I'm getting to the most Gleyber Torres, some Luis Rengifo or Davis Schneider if I got to get cheap, but quite literally just whoever I'm stacking at second base today.
Yeah. All right. How about third?
Third base, I am going cheap here mostly. So Blaze Alexander is batting second today with no Ketel Marte for Arizona. So I'm getting to a lot of Blaze. Mark Vientos is a great cheap option today. He's been smashing the ball recently. Addison Barger for my Blue Jays. He has not been smashing the ball lately, but we know he's still a very good hitter, and this is a good spot for him. Colt Keith, another guy I like as well, either as a one-off or in my Detroit stacks. And yeah, that's it for main targets.
Yeah. Tim, your thoughts there at third, please.
Yeah, so third base, it's definitely going to be Colt Keith in cash games. He's 3,700. He had a great night last night. I expect similar results tonight. He's definitely the correct play. As Barger at 4,300, he's a little bit more expensive than Colt Keith, but I think he's in a fantastic spot. So he could definitely be in cash games or part of a Toronto stack. I talked about liking the lefties against Colin Ray, but I do like Matt Chapman at 3,600 tonight. I think that's just a little bit too cheap for a good hitter like that. Mark Vientos is another salary saving option, batting 5th against Walker tonight. He's flooding a lot of optimals right now, so optimals love Vientos in cash. I still prefer going to Colt Keith, but if you don't quite have the money, Vientos is probably your next best guy. I don't mind Nolan Gorman and Carlos Correa in GPPs.
Yeah. All right. How about short?
Corey Seager is definitely my favorite shortstop on the slate. 4,600 against Kohanowitz. I think that's just a really, really good price tag. I think he's definitely the cash game guy. I would be overweight him in GPPs as well. He's definitely my favorite. If you don't want to go Corey Seager, Bobby Witt would probably be my next guy in at 5,700. He's got immense power and speed upside. So I think he would be a good play as well. Zach Neto at 47 would be my next favorite shortstop, batting leadoff tonight. And then you got guys like Ellie De La Cruz and Mookie Betts and Francisco Lindor. So once again, the shortstop position and like Bo Bichette, like all these guys, this position's absolutely loaded. I would not be trying to get value at this position outside of maybe Brooks Lee, but definitely don't do that in cash games. I'd be spending up to one of these really premier shortstops, and that guy for me would be Corey Seager in cash and single entry most likely.
Tim, got a question from Darnell. Can I ask why Keith in cash over Vientos was such a high pinch hit risk? Is that a concern?
No, that's definitely valid. It's a very, very good question. I personally think the matchup for Keith outweighs that risk. But if you think otherwise, Vientos is the next guy in. And Vientos, for what it's worth, is showing up in a ton of the blitz, not the blitz, the bat optimal. So that's fine if you want to go Vientos.
Yeah. All right. TJ, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, Corey Seager is not my highest owned. He's coming in slightly behind Langoliers, but my favorite bat on the slate. Absolutely love him tonight. After that, I'm getting to pretty much an even amount of Francisco Lindor, Bobby Witt Jr., and Zach Neto. Love the Neto call from Tim. I think he is a absolute awesome play today. Outside of that, there's a couple other guys I'm just getting to at like 5% only in stacks. Pena, Perdomo, Bichette, Betts. But for the most part, Seager, Lindor, Witt, and Neto are my 4 guys today.
Yeah. You get the honor, TJ. You get to bring us to the outfield today. What are we doing? And can I get a Spidey Bomb update? We getting close to that with 250?
Let me do a refresh here, see how many we're at. We're currently at 235, so 15 likes away from Spidey Bomb number 5. Should be able to get there, no problem. Let's get 5 more people or 15 more people hitting that like button. Outfield plays today. Juan Soto. Speaking of Spidey Bombs, is my highest owned outfielder, getting to a fair amount of him. Riley Green in that Athletics in Detroit game, another one of my favorite plays. Corbin Carroll is a guy I think is going to be really underlooked tonight in a really great spot, and he's been absolutely crushing the ball lately. Joe Adele as a salary saver is one of my favorites for tournaments. Yordan Alvarez is probably the best outfield play on the slate because he should be $1,000 more expensive than he is, but he'll be owned that way. And then a couple other guys I like: Brent Rooker, George Springer, Andy Pajes batting cleanup today. Teoscar Hernandez I like quite a bit, and then of course, I want to get more of him. Dalton Varsho, Spidey Bomb as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tim, got a lot of names, a lot of choices, and I'm seeing my boy Yordan there at the top with almost the full rainbow.
Yeah, Yordan is the fantastic play today. He's a little bit more expensive than he was yesterday, so he's not exactly as good as yesterday, but he's completely fine. George Springer would be my priority top outfielder today. 5K. Toronto's amazing against righties, and Woods Richardson, as G's pointed out, he's really just a strike thrower. So I mean, Toronto's going to be making a ton of contact tonight. So Springer is my first outfielder in both cash and single entry GPP. Riley Green, we saw what he did last night at 5,600. Obviously, he's fantastic. Amazing matchup. Brent Rooker, I absolutely love tonight. Good call by TJ on Teoscar Hernandez. I do like him. We can go back to Kerry Carpenter as well. Tyler Soderstrom at 4,200, I really like tonight. If you're looking for like a couple of value outfielders for cash, Jock Peterson, he's 2,400, and he might literally only get like 2 at bats, but 2,400 is way too cheap for this spot. And then if you can go a little bit higher, I do think Matt Wallner is okay at 36. But I think I'd rather just keep saving and go all the way down to Peterson.
Can we talk about Jock? Because I feel like every day you're like, well, you could just punt with Jock. Does he ever do anything? And if so, wouldn't his price go up? Like, does he ever do the things he's supposed to do? Can I see his game log?
Sometimes you don't have to look at what he does though, and look at what he allows you to get. So if you take that 0, but you can fill in your team with the guys you really want, then it's okay. So does he have a huge
1 out of every 5 games he hits a home run, which tonight he's facing a low strikeout pitcher who gives up a ton of power to left-handed bats. That's when we like Jock. That's when your lineup really cooks.
Okay. All right. Well said, gentlemen. I like it. Let's do some home run calls. We had 4 Spidey bombs scrolling at the bottom, and I think we were just a handful of shy of a 5th. We'll see if the people can get up to 250. In the meantime, Tim, give me a few home run calls, man. Maybe something a little chalky, a little mid-range, and a little sneaky.
Corey Seager. I love that hit a home run tonight. He's going to be chalky, though. I'm probably not going to actually bet him because his odds are so bad. But, I think he's a fantastic play. I saw some people in the chat talking about Jesus Sanchez, so I'm going to hop on board that and bet the plus 500 on DK, Jesus Sanchez, the hit-a-tater. I do like that call quite a bit. Saw some of our regulars talking about him, so I do like him tonight. And then I think that I'm going to go Colton Keith at plus 390 also.
Okay, very good. TJ, the people are telling me it's time to drop it. 250. Spidey Bomb number 5 in the house. What you got?
Spidey Bomb number 5, Matt Wallner, plus 350 today. He hits lefties really hard. Lauer gives up a lot of hard contact and power to lefties. I do think that he's my favorite tournament pitching option on the slate today, but I do think he gives up a solo bomb to Matt Wallner.
Okay, very good. We have, because of the Canadian start time, roughly 16 minutes until lock. That's a lot of time. Questions can be about baseball. They can be about football. They can be about dinner. They can be about fishing. Those are the options that I am allowing. What is your favorite hobby, Tim, outside of DFS or sports? Like TJ, I would say it's probably movies. What would you say your favorite hobby is outside of DFS, Tim?
I play a ton of poker.
Ooh.
I play poker all the time. And then I also really like to go hiking. We live basically in a national park, so I do a lot of hiking as well. Yeah. Okay.
The hiking, the poker one, almost assumed. I get that. That checks out. But the hiking, okay, very interesting. And yes, I saw your backyard, and you freaking.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, though, is that I don't really do anything on the water. Almost never.
To change that. The man lives it's absurd. I don't know how many millions he's won, but it's pretty awesome. We got to get you on the water, man. We got to get you a kayak or something simple. Get you out there doing a little fishing, little crabbing. Okay, let's get some of the questions coming in. TJ, outside of movies, you want to hit me up with one of your hobbies? No DFS, no movies. You're like, that's pretty much my whole life. I don't know.
Video games, I guess. Video games,
Yeah.
and just doing stuff with my friends, like I just not a specific activity, but I do like it used to be basketball,
Yeah.
and just sports in general. Now that I have a kid, more so just like I like going out and doing an outing, and I'll be, good for whatever that is. But when I'm hanging out indoors, it's movies and video games.
Yeah, I mean, I approve of those things for sure. Let's see what we got. DK Cash, position player priorities. Sim3 always asks this question right at the start of question time. TJ, if you're starting a cash lineup on DK, give me 3 players that you're like, staple, lock them in.
Corey Seager. And Tim will pick the other 2 because that's his bag.
Okay, Tim.
All right. You're probably going to go Jock, even though I know it doesn't sound great. So Seager and Jock, and then one of those expensive first basemen. It's probably Vlad, but you can go Alonso or Kurtz.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's see what else we've got in the Discord. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up for us. Roth, have you been smallmouth fishing? I've never caught a smallmouth. That's more of like a northern thing. We do the largemouth here in Texas, but I want to. I've heard it's a lot of fun and they're a really good fight. DK Cash question, Tim, for you. Gray and Perez or Lauer Springer? It's Gray and W Perez, if that helps.
Yeah, Wenzel Perez.
Yeah.
I guess it's Gray Perez, but I think you can do better than Perez and Cash.
Okay. You're gonna search. You're gonna find something better than him.
I can. Yeah. Yeah, he's 4K. I mean, I guess he's all right. I think I would still prefer Matt Wallner.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's close.
All right. DK Cash question, TJ. I'll come to you here. Carpenter or Springer or Alvarez in the outfield?
Guess I'd have to know the rest of the team, but like Alvarez is the optimal answer in terms of projections. Springer would be my favorite for a large field tournament.
Okay. Scrolling up in the YouTube because we got a bunch of questions coming in. Yeah. Peter, when I asked you your hobbies, Peter cracks me up. He says, I was really hoping Tim did something like collect vintage perfume bottles or something. I could see you having a very odd hobby, but no.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I mean, you did own a cheese. You were a cheesemonger for a time.
That's true.
Which
is true.
It's pretty odd. So, perfume would kind of be in line with that. Let's see, TJ. Springer, Alonso. Oh, okay. He's just saying these are people who are going to go home run. All right. Springer, Alonso, Terang, Rooker, Vientos, all to home run, says Jake. All right. There you go. Tim, are you a hand builder or a Sims user?
Yeah, I answered that already. I definitely use the Sims as a reference point, but I always ultimately hand build.
Okay. TJ, Scott says Bichette in a Blue Jay stack or Seager on FanDuel?
Bichette in a Blue Jay stack. Oh, Seager.
Okay. 2B2 TJ, DKGPP, Vladdy Springer or Vinny and Green?
Oh. Vinny and Green.
Flying Armbar says, TJ, do you like any cheap Blue Jays like Barger, Lukes, Jimenez, Schneider?
Yes, all of them. If you're not worried about price and just who I like the best for raw points in that order, it would be Barger 1 and then Schneider, Jimenez, Lucas.
Okay. Dean says, Tim, invite Roth to the island already. I'm waiting.
I have. Didn't you say you were coming up here?
Yeah, that whole trip got canned, sadly.
Okay.
Yeah. Your favorite FanDuel pitchers, Tim?
It's not a huge difference between FanDuel and DraftKings. I think I would start with Valdez, Gray, Lauer, all fine, but I think Valdez is my number one. And really, I would just stick with those 3.
Dean Williams says, if you're doing 150, you're still handpicking. You don't really enter that many. You do like 3-4 items maybe.
Yeah, I do 3 tops. Usually it's just 1 or 2.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. TJ Eric says, how much Dollander do you have out of 150?
I think he's in 3 lineups in 150.
Okay. Negative Creep says, the people want to know Dean's hobbies outside of DFS. Curious as well. I know he's a massive sports fan, but and he's a huge movie guy. Yeah.
And video games. Me and Dean are the same guy.
I don't think Dean is a gamer.
Yeah, Dean's a gamer.
What? I don't know if I believe that. Dean, we need to talk about games and what kind of games you're playing.
I can confirm Dean plays video games.
I think I would have known if he was one of my people. If he was a fellow gamer.
Maybe that says you don't know Dean as well as you think you do, though.
It's possible.
I know he's a gamer. We talk about video games.
All right. It's my bad, Dean. My bad. Let's see. Keith or Barger, TJ, on FanDuel?
Barger.
He's a relaxing gamer, not a competitive gamer. Like he's not playing Call of Duty online sweating.
Yeah, he's playing like story games.
But that's what I like RPGs, like role-playing games.
Yeah.
What? Dean.
Have you played Expedition 33 yet?
No, but I've heard great things. Yeah, heard it's very fun. Roth, we need some Roth Thunder Bombs from you. Okay. Otani and the guy for Houston who just came back. What's his name? Why can't I think of it? Jordan, thank you. And then whoever the best hitter on Oakland is.
Brett
on the
Rooker.
A's. And Rooker.
Nick Hurts, I guess.
Yeah.
Langoliers.
Confirmed Dean trash talks 8-year-olds on Fortnite with his headset on. I can see he's so nice in person that when the face isn't there, he just berates 8-year-olds. I could see it. Let's see. Completing a Detroit
He wouldn't
stat.
berate them. He would get into arguments with them.
He would. Yeah.
He wouldn't be like
debate
cussing
them.
out the 8-year-olds like for no reason. He would just be like getting super frustrated as to why these 8-year-olds aren't thinking logically. What do you mean you want your team to make the playoffs in the 8th seed? How are they ever going to win the championship if they're just making the 8th seed every year? And these kids are like, we just want to go to a playoff game. Why is this man being so mean to me?
Your logic makes no sense. Well, there's 7. Tim, Torkelson or Keith to complete a Detroit stack?
I guess Torkelson, but they're both
one
good.
stack. I love this. One stack to win it all. It's one of my favorite questions. This is specifically for FanDuel. Tim, one stack to win it all on FanDuel. Who you stacking?
Some really strong stacks tonight. I'll go with Toronto.
And I'll pick the other one.
I'll go Toronto.
Yeah, I'll go Detroit then.
Okay.
But
TJ Blink.
Those are my top 2 as well.
Okay. Blink says DK large field GPP. I don't even want to tell you my 2 pitchers because I don't want anyone vomiting on stream, but I'm running 4 Tigers, 4 Athletics with some gross pitchers. Is a double dip of that game viable? And would you use Giloff or Hernandez?
The double dip of that game is definitely viable. I have no issue with that part. Very curious about who you're pitching. What was the question? Hernandez or who? Or Giloff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably go Hernandez, but they're really close.
Okay. Are the Tigers too chalky for single entry on DK?
I don't think so.
No. Okay, very good. TJ, who is pitching for Pitt? Max asks.
A whole bunch of people.
One of those.
They're starting out with Mlodzinski, and we should have some what's his face $6,300 guy that I have
Bubba Chandler.
Bubba Chandler, yeah, we're expecting to come in for him. He only pitched 40 pitches in his debut. If you wanted to like throw some long relief Bubba Chandler out there, I don't think you're an idiot by any means. I'm just not doing it because I want some guys with some longer leashes.
Okay. That was actually the next question. What thoughts on Chandler at 6,300? Tim, your favorite cheese? I've actually asked you this before. It depends on the situation. But if you just had to, under the gun, favorite cheese, what are you going with?
Probably like a really, really aged cheddar.
Yeah, hell yeah. God, I love a sharp, like just so sharp that it just punches you in the mouth. Yes. Love that. Also, we were talking about burrata on this show recently, and I was like, I don't think I know what that is. I had a burrata recently at a fancy restaurant, and it was so freaking good. It was like tomato and burrata, holy hell. Excellent, excellent cheese. Tim, Suzuki or Burleson on DK?
Suzuki.
No love for Ray on DK, Tim?
Not really. I get it. I guess he's a viable punt, but not something that I would roster in my first 5 to 10 lineups. I would have no Ray.
Okay. TJ, how about Garcia instead of Jock in a large field GPP?
Sure.
Hoosiers Hang Banner says, Roth, any relation to Alice Roth? She was once hit in the face by a foul ball, then hit in the knee by another foul ball while she was being carried away on a stretcher. No, I am not that unlucky. That is, thankfully, we are not related. Poor Alice.
She's related
Roth.
to the other Kevin Roth.
Yeah, the other Kevin Roth meteorologist. Scrolling down. Your favorite Houston bats, TJ?
Alvarez, Pena, and Jesus Sanchez.
Okay. Any love for Bryce Terang as a one-off, Tim?
I don't love it, but it's the Brewers and they've been amazing all season, so it's okay.
J3 says Dean is going to chill with a sparkling water and play Civilization 6 like a boss. that is some cozy gaming right there, man. Let's see. Scrolling down. Suzuki or Burleson on DK? I feel like I asked that one already. Tim, Suzuki or Burleson?
Suzuki.
Okay. Scrolling down. A Walker revenge game, TJ, versus the Mets. Keep in mind this question is from Eric Johnson.
No.
This is the best question I've seen in a long time. Dante says, what is TJ's take on poutine?
It's delicious.
Okay, you're in. You're in on it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's fries, it's gravy, and it's cheese curds. The only thing you can possibly not like about that is the cheese curds. And then if you know what, just eat the fries and gravy, and it's delicious.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. I have never had it, but it's good to get a sane person's take on it. And that seems a pretty legit take. Hey, can't remember who called out.
Start disliking poutine is when you start making it crazy, like mixing in all kinds of wild stuff in it.
Yeah. It's wild enough for me. I don't think we need to add anything else. Some people saying shout out to Cardi with the Patrick Corbin call.
It was a great call by Cardi. It was a great call by Cardi last night.
Yeah.
He definitely made me look really bad on that Corbin call.
Yeah, happens. Thoughts on a Rockies mini stack, TJ?
Sure, yeah. Play some Beck, some Doyle, and some Goodman.
Okay. Let's see. Bichette to complete a Blue Jay stack or Seager, Tim?
So I just had the exact thing come up. I went with Bichette to complete the stack, but I mean, Seager's obviously a fantastic play.
Okay. Favorite flavor of ice cream? We hit the lock. We'll end it with this. I did a braised pork poutine on my last bar menu.
Nice. That sounds
pretty
amazing.
Good. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Favorite flavor of ice cream was the final question. We've hit the lock. I should note, I just took my kids today to the best ice cream in the whole city of Houston, and I was so excited to steal some of their ice cream. And one of them got like bubblegum flavor, and the other got cotton candy. And I was so furious at their ice cream choices because those are horrible picks. Anyway, strawberry is my favorite. TJ, favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream.
Strong.
That's a really good one. I really like the Ben and Jerry's coffee Heath Bar Crunch.
There you go. Wildly specific, but I'm on board with that. And then we got a vanilla is just, don't see that answer too often. Vanilla or pistachio from producer Steve. All right, let's get out of here. It's time to clear it out. Great show, as always, for TJ, for Tim, for our wonderful production crew. Always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been